This is Big Ten country. This is where it lives.
14 teams took to the rift at the start of our regular season, all with the goal of walking away with the #1 seed and securing a spot in the CLAW National Championship.
Witness the rise of a new star in Michigan State, taking down the reigning champions in Maryland, finishing their season 7-0.
While across the conference, the juggernauts Illinois return in stunning fashion, where they now look to continue their perfect run.
The regular season is done, and now it's time for the playoffs. We start with the quarterfinals, as in the West, Nebraska hunts for an upset, taking on the 2nd seed, Purdue.
And later tonight, Rutgers looks for redemption as they seek to avenge their Week 6 loss against the University of Michigan. And what better way to celebrate the postseason than to introduce a new face to the broadcast? Aiden Zyrene Moon is here to help break down all the action.
After 7 weeks of fierce competition, the time has finally come to put it all on the line. This is the BTN Championship Tournament. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the playoffs. We are here for the BTN Championship Tournament. As always, I am Paul Inverum Totkill, joined by Daniel Degon Gonzalez. Once again, man, it's great to be here.
Yeah, we made it. We had 14 teams since the beginning, and now we've got ourselves a step closer to crowning a champion of the BTN Championship.
Oh, yeah, they've been playing every single week, looking to determine that final seeding. And this is what it all comes down to. This is it. This is the playoffs. But in order to explain it a little bit better, let's break down the format.
The BTN Championship Tournament was broken down into 2 phases. First, the 14 teams were split into 2 divisions, representing the West and the East. Each division competed in a single round-robin phase. Each match was a best-of-3. Now, every team has come back together for the championships. The single elimination bracket is seeded based on the round-robin phase, with the top team from each division getting a first-round bye. The winner will seed directly to the CLAW Championship, and the finalist getting a play-in spot, where they will have a chance to cement their legacy among collegiate League of Legends greats.
All right, and to break down all of the action from the BTN Championship, we have ourselves Aiden Zyrene Moon. How's it going, Zyrene?
It's going great, man. I'm really excited to be broadcasting League of Legends again, and also at the same time, collegiate, which I have my roots in. Back in the day, I started on UCI in 2013. Now I'm aging myself as 6 years ago. But yeah, I love collegiate League of Legends. It's actually what got me into shoutcasting back in the day. So, my heart is all about this scene.
That's right. So veteran of the scene. Let's take a look at the bracket here. Starting on the eastern side of the bracket, Michigan State, the surprise #1 seed, they get themselves the bye.
Yeah, Michigan State undefeated currently. Very interesting because everybody was expecting Maryland, who came in second, to be the team that's in that position, but they're not. They're the team that was actually top 4 last year in terms of all over North America, right? They were number 4, number 3, I guess, in terms of like 3rd, 4th. And Michigan State, everybody's kind of expecting that rematch to be here between Michigan State and Maryland. Very powerful teams. And Michigan State, they got that upset, but even they weren't as convinced by it. It was a 2-0, but people were kind of going, maybe Maryland was slacking a little bit towards the end of the season.
Yeah, Maryland, the only team to make it to every single Riot-sponsored event. Huge there for them. They need to pick themselves up by the bootstraps and get themselves past a tough field.
They have that pedigree, though, right?
That's right. Looking the other side, speaking of pedigree, Illinois, business as usual, top of the West, and they're just rolling.
Yeah, they were the other team that last year was in that 3rd, 4th position, just like Maryland was. But right now, Illinois, they have a lot of alumni. They have a lot of returning members. 3 people on that team are coming back this split, undefeated. Everybody's expecting them to be right up there with their support and their mid laner.
Yeah, and the mid laner, Zeno, for Illinois, he sets the tone for that team, trying to get themselves back to that semifinal spot and beyond in the CLAW Championships. And speaking of mid laners, you got something to say about the mid laner for Purdue, Parky Lowe.
Yeah, Parky Lowe, he's actually fantastic, and people are expecting that mid lane clash between Purdue, we're going to be seeing in our first match of the day here, up against, Nebraska, but later on, expecting that clash between him and Zeno in those finals. But if an upset happens, which there is some potential for in collegiate, because there are people who are going to play like an off pick and whatnot, but a lot of the times Elo is going to take care of business, and those are the 2 high Elo mid laners.
That's right. Purdue, Minnesota, and Wisconsin halfway through the season, all tied up at 3-1. Purdue was the team that was able to take off. Paul, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. Laying down some expectations over the course of the playoffs. We'll see if those play out, or as Irene said, there's often chance for upsets here. But we're talking about these players, and it's great oftentimes to hear more from these players. In particular, we got a chance to sit down and chat with a lot of them and hear what the BTN tournament means to them.
It means a lot because I love basketball and I love following it, and it's really cool that I'm in the same seat that Cassius Winston was in.
It means a lot to me. I'm definitely looking to do well in the BTN tournament, just so that I know because it's something that I wanted to do and I wanted to do well in. So being able to accomplish one of my goals would be great. And
the BTN tournament is probably the biggest tournament that we ever participate in every year. It means a lot to us because we're versus these schools that we have history with. So I think there's a lot to go on with that. And I also think, this is kind of our chance to go to LA. Like, most of the collegiate players, we're never going to go pro, or we don't really see it in that regard. It's kind of just what we play in college and maybe what we play for fun afterwards. But this is kind of like the highest competitive setting we can ever play in, and probably the rest of our lives unless we actually try to go pro. So that's what it means to me.
I think Big Ten is doing a great job of making the scene a little bit more legitimate, especially when it comes to amateur and collegiate.
Big Ten has been amazing. This is one of the only really solidified, financially supported parts of the collegiate League of Legends scene. So it's been amazing to be a part of it and be able to really participate with individuals and compete with individuals who are guaranteed funding, who are able to compete at their top level. And it's amazing to have all this support and infrastructure.
I'm really excited for that, and it means the world to me to be doing this well. And
well, it's great to hear from every single one of these players just, how much it does matter participating in this event. And it's interesting to hear the idea that this is the highest level of competition that probably most of us will compete in unless we actually aspire to go pro. It's pretty great giving them that forum to compete.
Yeah, and I love the fact that the Big Ten is supporting all of them. Every single school here understands, hey, look, this is an emerging field. We want to be at the forefront of it. And they have been. They've been around for such a long time, and these guys get to be a part of it. But it wouldn't be possible without the Big Ten support.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it shows every single year just having multiple teams rise up, making it into semifinals just goes to show that clearly the support there, it's working. But speaking of moving on to semifinals and even finals, let's start with our matches for today. Let's get into the schedule. Of course, we are starting off with Purdue taking on Nebraska later on today. Michigan facing off against Rutgers. And they're also going to be having Zyrene covering some of our other matches off stream. We're going to see the Wisconsin and Northwestern matchup.
Yeah, and off stream later on tonight, Minnesota and Iowa will play for that final spot on the western side of the bracket. Minnesota, one of those teams that was vying for that second place spot, weren't able to quite get it. I'm excited to see what the Golden Gophers do against Iowa.
Well, it's interesting to see how these teams have progressed over the course of the season and how oftentimes we see teams level up when it comes to playoffs. So I'm excited to see how many of these, are they going to crumble under the pressure, or are they going to rise above? And one of these teams that I'm really curious to see how they are going to do, it's got to be Purdue. Let's start talking about their roster, because they're a squad who we've had pretty good expectations for. They're a roster who performed consistently over the course of the season, and they're one of these squads who, we talk about it, they're coming in as this number 2 seed, but still, a lot of it has to do with, as you guys mentioned before, their mid laner, Parky Low.
Yeah, Parky Low, one of the guys in the mid lane, sets the tone for the whole team. And the other guy you got to look out for is Rocky T-Sauce. These two guys are the guys that can carry the team here for Purdue and work on through. And surprising, Blitzcrank, named Blitzcrank, plays in the jungle. But again, he's the one that sets it up for this Purdue team sitting at the number 2 slot in the western side of the division.
Of course, they're taking on an opponent who have not had the most success so far this season. They're coming into the number 7 spot. It is Nebraska. A lot of great personalities on this team, but they just haven't quite been able to bring it together as a squad.
Yeah, the Cornhuskers haven't had a season to remember. Every team makes it to the playoffs, and if they're going to have a chance to create one of the biggest upsets in the BTN, it'll be through the Juicer and Snow White Hime in the bottom side of the map. Same positions as Purdue. Those two guys are able to produce, but they haven't been able to put it together this season. They have a tough task here to do it against the Boilermakers.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty interesting to see if they can pull it out. But one of the ways they might look to do so is by exploiting some changes maybe coming out. Because, of course, we are playing on the most recent live update. Zyrene is standing by to give us an update on 9.6.
Yeah, when it comes to collegiate, it's usually people are doing things like playing their one tricks. We're going to have some Renekton's, even though those aren't really meta. But if you guys at home watching pro, playing solo queue, here's some champions that I think are going to be hitting the Rift in 9.6 in some way, shape, or form. Urgot, his damage went up drastically. Big AD ratios, the W becomes a toggle at level 9, and his durability slightly down. This guy, I expect him to be in the top lane or the jungle. Same thing with the Kale, very powerful top laner with the Kleptomancy and the Crypt build. and then the Q from Hecarim, top lane, jungle. I expect these 3 champions to make an impact here. What are you guys expecting on 9.6?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing here is the Ezreal change. No 2 tiers, so you can't stack tiers anymore. Even when you lose, can't stack the tiers anymore for the BM. He'll have other ways to build. And then other AD carry changes on the bottom side of the map. Caitlyn ult now has a little bit more of a burst. Zyra Khan might see that a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll see if the Lovers duo makes an appearance here, because we're going to be getting into our first draft in just a moment. So let's not keep you waiting any longer. You've heard some predictions there from Zyrene. Maybe we'll see a cheeky Hecarim pick come out. I'm not 100% sure, but maybe we'll. And hey, Urgot jungle. That might be something we do see coming out as well.
Yeah, again, Urgot with the changes now, just more damage, less durability. A lot of the pro teams now have been scrimming with it a little bit more in the jungle position, and that's a big thing in draft. When you're able to pick those flex picks and you cover up counter picks that could possibly happen. They pick a counter on the top side of the map, boom, he goes to the jungle, and now you counter their counter, and it's real easy from there. And early bans here from Nebraska, getting rid of the Yasuo. Yeah, try to limit Parkilo's champ pool there. Fiora is the focus here for Purdue on the early start, and that to me is surprising, because Fiora is one of those hard carry champions, and I figured you'd just take away safe champions, force Nebraska on something that makes them feel uncomfortable, and instead Purdue's like, yeah, we'll just ban away the carry, so there's no way that you can find any source of hope here.
Well, when Nebraska has found success, they've often done so through the top laner. Bye-bye. We saw him go clutch on, maybe less common picks like Renekton, and taking away a lot of these key top laners there as well, also slightly targeting potentially the jungle there against Spicy Champagne, and denying not only late game scaling, but also some forms of initiation here as well.
Yeah, and so J4 taken away for Spicy Champagne, waiting for this last ban from Nebraska before we get into our first picks. It'll be Morgana and Shen. Morgana, another champion here, getting a little bit more play. The Spell Vamp now getting buffed just a bit. So first pick for Purdue. We've seen it over and over again. Sejuani in the jungle. Blitzcrank just going to be that tanky initiator, leading the charge for Nebraska.
Yeah,
for Purdue.
For Purdue, yeah. Go in, you set things up with the Glacial Prison, able to put your teammates in a pretty good spot. Early game as well, she can bait out those flashes and those early rotations, lay the groundwork for future successful ganks. So keep an eye out there from that in terms of Blitzcrank. Over on the other side, we're going to see Frosty Waffles grabbing that Thresh. One of these champs we see consistently in collegiate play.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh, wait till you see my Thresh. Every support looks flashy when they're playing Thresh, so here's an opportunity for Frosty Waffles to set up his AD carry Snow White. And this is what I was going to say here. Against a Sejuani, you can exploit them early. If you play aggressive, you get yourself a Lee Sin. That's one of the most aggressive junglers early on. That's still in the meta, so Lee Sin going to get picked up here by Spicy Champagne, and he'll be setting the tone early, so you expect to see Nebraska, with whatever they pick, have early aggression, winning lanes, so that Lee Sin can start going around and snowball a lead.
I actually really like this from Nebraska, because they're one of these teams who we've seen is often building off of momentum. The games that they have won, they've done so often being able to snowball. And if you can shut down Purdue, another school who can just, if you let them run away with it, they're rarely going to make those late game mistakes. They're rarely going to fumble the ball just towards the end zone. So if you can get ahead early, shut them down, that's probably your best chance of winning that game.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I think Nebraska just isn't positioned to punish those mistakes that a team like Purdue would make if they get ahead. So you have to get ahead early here. So putting your eggs in that basket, showing, hey, look, we're going to play a make with Thresh at level 2, level 3, and Lee Sin, who's going to be very effective until, even past level 6, but he starts to fall off at level 11, level 12. He's not as tanky, doesn't deal as much damage, especially if he falls behind. So Nebraska signaling what they want to do on the opposite side. Purdue says, okay, come at us in the bot lane. We're going to pick the most aggressive bot lane in the game. Lucian Braum, concussive blows there, the double taps from the Light Slinger passive from Lucian. A lot of that here for Rocky T Sauce and Fredo. And Nebraska says, all right, we'll pick ourselves something else that, Vayne can scale. Vayne is known to scale, but you can play Vayne aggressively if you really want to play on that edge, and Snow White Hime is one of those guys that isn't afraid to.
Well, I love this from Nebraska, because it's building in a little bit of a safety net in this draft. If they're not quite able to do the damage they want early, they're building in some late game scaling, so that should they be forced to turtle, should they be forced to sit back and look towards the 25-30 minute mark, look towards 4 items, yeah, okay, you're going to start to get a little more aggressive there with that vein. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, you're going to want to get ahead early, of course.
Well,
but
that's the thing. I think I feel like, okay, you set yourself up early with these. Okay, you want this early game team composition. You know, you don't want to fall behind with Purdue, especially when they signal, hey, look, we're going to have that tanky front line throughout the game in a Sejuani, but you can't be tanky if you don't get items. As soon as they get items, then you start to fall behind. I like the vein pick because you're able to shred through the tanky Sejuani with the silver bolts. You do percentage health, so that's a good pick here, but they've got to get themselves to that point. So right now, a lot on Spicy Champagne as we take a look at some of these bans.
And it's interesting because we're looking towards this mid-targeting here for Purdue as well, but still looking towards this top lane. They are respecting Bye-Bye up there, wanting to make sure that they don't give Nebraska an additional lane to play through, denying a lot of these traditional top carries. I like this. Clearly, Purdue has done their homework there because Bye-Bye has been looking, he's looking pretty solid, but oh, hey, look, there's another one.
Yeah, they just go deep into the carry champ pool here. Darius, we've seen what a Darius can do over in one of the other conferences. Brown man Darius, one of the best players we've seen in collegiate for DePaul. He can carry a team on his own, but now he needs a lot of resources early on so that he can get ahead. Again, you've got a couple snowball mechanics with this Darius and with the Vayne, so Spicy Champagne's going to be pulled all across the map. Purdue on the opposite side, answer with a Corki. Corki normally played in the mid lane, just save, shoot rockets, does mixed damage. I like this pick so far, and it's a blindable pick, not knowing what the counter pick's going to be from the Juicer.
Yeah, they're still holding on to that one. Pretty close to the chest towards the end there, but oh, another potential champion that saw some changes.
Yeah, Narg now going to go on the top side of the map for steal. He's like, okay, you get the boomerang, you're able to outrange and zone away that Darius. Darius will have a hard time getting the initiation in because you want to get him in. You want to be able to get the decapitate spin off and get the damage down. So it's all about getting inside. Nar has the escape and has the range to slow people down. The final pick here, it'll be Cassiopeia in the mid lane for the Juicer.
Pretty solid pickup there for Nebraska to round that out. I have to get some additional thought on this, though. Zyrene, what are you thinking taking a look at this draft?
Man, Purdue walked away with a really good composition mid-late game. Like, this is a team that has the Lucian Braum to kind of bridge the early game. The Sejuani will then start taking over, winning top lane. Their mid lane is something that can go even. So they have winning top and bottom lanes. Their jungle is a little bit in the losing zone versus the Lee Sin. So I expect these side laners to do a lot of work and try to get that Corki to scale up. But then on the opposite side, I think Nebraska got stuck because they have a great top laner, and their mid laner is like Platinum 1 up against a Masters player, basically. So they had to go between, do we counterpick top lane for our best player, or do we counterpick mid lane so that our worst player doesn't get destroyed? And they went with trying to have some safety there. And he got the Cassiopeia, so I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with the draft resources here on that Cassio.
It's interesting to see, kind of getting pinched maybe a little bit there, but also prioritizing it. Where do we want to win this game? And speaking of winning, we got to make some predictions going on into this. So I'm going to start things off. I mean, I like the draft that Purdue ended up putting together right there. I like the flexibility they're going to have with it. So I'm going to go with Purdue. They're also the second seed, so I'm kind of hedging my bet a little bit on that one.
Yeah, I mean, coming into the game, Purdue was the one that was able to separate everything. In the draft, I liked the idea that Nebraska did, kind of going early, but then they changed it. It looked like they got waffled.
Yeah.
Zyrene touched on that. I'm going for Purdue. Zyrene, what do you got?
I'm also going with Purdue because Nebraska, like I said in that draft where they went between who's going to win the top lane or the mid lane, they didn't play to win a lane. They played to not lose a lane really hard. So you got to play to win, and that's why I'm going with Purdue here instead of Nebraska.
Yeah, well, we talk about that a lot. You've got to play to win. So you hear it here, united front on the analyst desk. We're going to hop into this game here in just a second. Well, actually, let's hop into it right now. Let's not miss out on any of the action here for our very first game of the BTN Championship Tournament. Degon, let's get into it.
All right, and taking a look at these guys one more time. Expect to see a lot of action here for Nebraska's jungler, Spicy Champagne. He's the one that's going to be the bridge to get the Juicer and Snow White Hime rolling. But again, just a solid draft by Purdue to get the counter picks here. Bottom side of the map playing hyper aggressive. On the top side, you get the Gnar that's able to just out zone Bye-Bye. So the Juicer and Parky low. Parky as soon as he's able to get the missile barrage and get the range down on the Juicer, it'll be very tough to farm in that lane. So early on, you want to see Spicy Champagne get some pressure.
Yeah, for sure, and I'm glad you mentioned, look towards steal up top, because, of course, we did see, reminding everybody, we are, of course, on 9.6, so Gnar did receive that W cooldown reduction here, so it's now 7 seconds at all ranks. Keep in mind, again, we're often talking about, can teams start to bring in some of these new picks? This isn't necessarily one that we were looking for here, but it's clearly something Purdue is interested in.
Yeah, it's a good counter pick. I'm just surprised that none of the power picks that we talked about earlier got picked or banned. We didn't see Hecarim get banned. We didn't see Kale get banned. No Lovers Duo on the bottom side of the map. Expected to not see Ezreal just because there was the change to Ezreal. So that's the only thing that happened. But other than that, I think the meta that Purdue and Nebraska have defined for themselves work for themselves. You see that all the time in collegiate. Teams finding something that works for them and sticking with it.
And I think it's interesting because, you know, oftentimes we see comfort picks will reign out across, you know, above everything else. So above meta, above solo queue stats, comfort picks reign out. And Ezreal has been one of these counter picks, or comfort picks, all season long. It's going to be interesting to see how the carry pool opens up now that, like, we're not seeing Ezreal in every single game.
Right, yeah. And you see, we've seen a little bit more Vayne this year. I say this season.
Yeah.
More than any season in quite some time. Like, Vayne was just like, hey, this is too risky of a pick. It doesn't scale well. But players are more willing and teams are more willing to play into it and play with it, knowing that, hey, look, if we can get it to late game, tumble damage, along with final hour, it dishes out enough damage. But it's just getting through that early game. And I kind of wish to have seen a little bit more help either in the top or the mid lane picks to bridge the gap that have power spikes in the mid game. But you know, Nebraska is going with the Echo Fox strategy in the LCS. Echo Fox picked 3 losing scaling lanes in the game that mattered for playoffs against CLG. They were able to do it. Nebraska going to try to do the same here.
They are indeed. And I mentioned this in the draft as well. Like, okay, they're going to have some pretty good early pressure here. We touched on this. And then I'm like, okay, they're kind of hedging their bets. They're giving themselves the option to scale late if they need to. But then they picked up multiple champions that do that here. So while they started out in this draft going, okay, we want to win early, we're going to do okay. And then if we need to, we'll have some options scaling late. Now it almost seems like they're flipping that script, which I wonder is going to leave Spicy Champagne out to dry. How many resources is he going to commit to helping out his lanes? But then also, like, he's going to need some assistance too, because if Purdue decides to put some pressure on him, good luck, Nebraska. That's all of your early game pressure gone.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for the rest of the lanes to rotate on over. I would say the biggest one is maybe top lane bye-bye, because you're in the jungle. You're forced to be in close proximity. That's when Darius can do a lot of damage. But, you know, if it's something on the bottom side of the map, the Vayne and the Thresh, unless Thresh lands one heck of a death sentence, it's going to be very difficult for the laners to help out Spicy Champagne. And it just seems like it's just a lot of weight on that jungler. Spicy Champagne is going to have to be the one that facilitates for everybody. So he's power forming right now. Sejuani slightly ahead, and will be getting the bottom Scuttle Crab and has decent vision so far. On the top side of the map, they know Lee Sin is doing the Raptors. And so with that information, he's able to continue to play slightly more aggressive than what a Sejuani would.
Oh, speaking of information, you know it's always great to have more information, especially for us here, not only on the caster desk, but us putting on the show as well. There's actually a survey that you guys in Twitch chat can fill out. If you guys have feedback, send it over our way, esl.gg/BTN survey. We're always trying to make this show better for all of you at home. And that's a way that you can participate and help us improve, D-Gon. Always great.
Yeah, hey, nice little damage there, though, for Snow White Hime and Frosty Waffles onto Rocky T Sauce. Rocky needs to be careful. He's starting to run a little bit lower on mana. Sejuani there just to kind of cover up. They have good vision on the Lee Sin, spotted in the bush by Blue Buff, so they know he's there. They have an idea that a gank is coming, probably the Lantern Pull. Let's see how these teams play this one out on the bottom side, or if anything happens.
Well, maybe a potential party going to break out here in just a bit. The Juicer taking a lot of pressure there in mid, but looks like both junglers going to back up, reset, and I have to give so many props to Purdue. The amount of early vision they were able to establish for themselves. That Lee Sin traversed from one side of the jungle to the other, and they were aware of it every single step of the way. Great early warding there as well, controlling those scuttles, controlling the river for Purdue. That's what I expect to see from them.
Yeah, so Lee Sin's going to go back and get himself the Stalker's Blade with the Chilling Smite, so he gets his first item. Sejuani going to stay and continue to farm up. Something that I like, though, on this top side of the map, you can see Steel's spacing this out perfectly. Anytime Bye-Bye tries to step up and get close, you throw the boomerang, get the slow down, back off, and you're fine. Bye-Bye's done a good job farming up, but the wave's starting to push against him now. It'll be difficult for him to continue to control the wave and CS safely.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on that for sure. And I mean, you mentioned talking about counters here. This Darius is often one of those oppressive champions we see up top there. If he's allowed to just do his own thing, has not been able to, as you mentioned. It's just very simple. The Nard to just back himself right on out. So I like this play from Purdue, but a very slow start for them, which I think is what they want. They want to wait for the Sejuani to hit level 6. They want to wait for those ganks and those initiations, start to set that up. I wouldn't mind maybe setting up even, or just baiting out some of these rotations, maybe try and burn a couple flashes. as we'll maybe see down here. Frosty Waffles and crew, though, just sitting back, just chilling. I wouldn't maybe mind seeing a little bit more aggression from both sides here. Just set things up, maybe try and burn some sums.
Well, I mean, look, there hasn't even been a kill yet, and there's already a pretty sizable gold lead for just in terms of CS. It's a 6,000 gold lead. That's 3 kills already onto the side of Purdue, mainly through the mid lane. TP usage for Parkilo to advance his lead, and he has himself a Sheen compared to the opposite side of Cassiopeia, just has a tier. And now we might have ourselves the first set of action flash away by Lee Sin.
Well, I mean, if you're Purdue, you're already happy about that. I talked about looking for those rotations, looking to burn out a couple summoner spells, and already forcing back the jungler, Spicy Champagne. Again, if you can shut him down early, this is the pressure that Nebraska wants to build, and this is Purdue looking to stunt it already. Blitzcrank making himself at home in the opposing team's jungle, landing the stuns, landing the damage. This is not how this early fight is supposed to go.
No, it's not. Now Spicy Champagne might have a case of Lee Syndrome. Nice ward up there, just an inch away. Now Blitzcrank might be in some trouble. Here comes a Darius.
Maybe a bit of miscommunication, though. The Juicer not in a good spot. I think he actually burned his ult there. Missing it is Bye-Bye actually pulled him away. That was a bit of a misplay right there for the side of Nebraska.
Yeah, that was a little messy here, and I think it's Lee Sin being like, yo, if I die now, the game is going to be broken. Please come support us. Come down there.
Please don't die to red buff, though.
Oh, he's fine.
He's fine. He's totally
He's fine.
Totally
he's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
He's totally fine.
Yeah. He was waiting until
He's
that
giving me a heart
second.
attack, though, as I see us just wanting in my peripheral vision.
Well, the rotation down by Darius cost him a good sizable wave, and now Steel will have himself a little lead, and that's just what happens. Right now it's just small little tiki-taka leads coming out of Purdue with the pressure, with the vision that they gained early on. It hasn't been a lot of kills, hasn't been flashy, but I think it's these small nuances that makes Purdue a formidable opponent, earning that second spot, and as they continue to get closer and closer to the match against Illinois later on.
Well, it's one of the things that Purdue is doing so well right now, and you mentioned not only just in the fact that they're getting this additional CS, but they're just asserting this lane priority right now. They're pushing themselves forward. They're able to find rotations, whether it be to lay down additional vision, put pressure in the opposing team's jungle. Purdue is doing things with the spaces that they're creating for themselves, and Nebraska is already feeling that pressure.
Yeah, just look across the scoreboard right now. It's 11 CS in the top lane, plus 20 there in mid lane, and on the bottom side of the map, almost 15, 16 CS up right now for Purdue. And it's just, I think that's the individual skills starting to leak through, and you don't normally see it as often in collegiate. Everyone kind of varies, but now that we're in the playoffs and we have the 2-versus-7 matchup, this is what you expect to see. And Nebraska needs to fight sooner if they want to close this gap and find themselves an upset.
They do indeed, and up in the top, we're seeing Bye-Bye going up against Steel. Steel, the player who I praised for his consistency, saying consistently dominant in this matchup right now, continuing to lead in terms of CS and keep the pressure on Bye-Bye. You saw it there. Bye-Bye tried to make a little bit of a play happen, tried to scrap. Nar's like, nah.
Yeah, this is the closest lane too, so props to Bye-Bye to try and keep this close in a matchup that is difficult. However, right now, Lee Sin gonna roam his way up top, and it gets spotted out by the Vision Ward, so no dice here. What is the answer? Go down to the Dragon and start dishing out damage. Blitzcrank and Fredo going to take care of that one.
I love this, getting vision of the Lee Sin from the Tri-Brush, continuing to keep an eye on him and opening up the space for the team to look towards the first Drake here. This is Purdue looking pretty darn solid right now, but Bye-Bye might be in a bit of a rough spot. Spicy Champagne, though, is this a bait? Well, bait on who? Steel's continuing the fight up against Spicy Champagne, able to secure the first blood right there, burning up the flash as well. Now Steel's continuing to put pressure onto Spicy Champagne, who walked into the wrong neighborhood.
Yeah, Steel just taking advantage of the matchup there. Bye-Bye getting too aggressive, stepping up forward, getting caught out. Nice flash forward by Steel, understanding, hey, if I get this last auto attack, I get the Frenzy proc, and I'm able to move a little bit faster and get himself out of trouble. So with that nice play there in the top lane, just solo kill.
Yeah, really nice, and I love this as well for Purdue, identifying that they want to get as much additional early push in as possible, getting the turret plating. Let's take a look at that kill again, though, Degon, up from the top lane.
Yeah, again, you're right there. Bye-Bye knows that Steel's in the bush, wants to get damage down, but isn't quite able to do as much as he thought he was, and Steel gets the double hop away. And then right here, Spicy Champagne's like, I'll equalize this. Nice flash forward because he doesn't even have vision. It was just good reactions by Steel to take care of that one. And now in a little bit of trouble, Spicy Champagne and Steel going back and forth. Bye-Bye trying to close in as well.
This just feels like deja vu right now. Spicy Champagne trying to make a rotation up and not being able to do much against this lane matchup, already securing that first kill. He's going to look to continue to snowball this lead that he's building for himself on the top.
Yeah, and with that, you see him on the top side of the map if you're Purdue. Spicy Champagne not being effective. So, hey, no jungler interference. That means I can go aggressive on the bottom side of the map, and Rocky T Sauce and Fredo take the first turret, and it's just a massive gold lead down on the bottom side of the map already. 40 CS up. That's about 1,000 gold in the coffers for Rocky T Sauce and Purdue.
Already seeing about a 4,000 gold lead here at the 11.5-minute mark. Definitely not optimal if you're on the side of Nebraska. But we have a lot of action going on, Degon, and not just in this game, but across the BTN as a whole. We've got Zyrene standing by here, giving us more updates on another match.
Yeah, you guys got a 4,000 gold lead from like turrets and macro play. Here, there's a lot of fighting going on in this other match. This is just off of a face check. They're not fighting for anything in particular, no objective really. It's just, hey, they start fighting. There's a Shen in the game they forgot about when the level 6s came out. Yamikaze gets picked off, and then a great flash here from Mike to the right to continue going after Light Me Up. They get to go forward. They pick him up right afterwards, and then Eros, I mean, you gotta love the guy. He goes back in to get Mike there, picks him up, but then he gets picked off as well. And that's just the blue team. They get so much done off of that, and they were the ones who face-checked in the first place. So right now we have a lot of action on that game. So back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Zyrene. Unholy Wish, always such a nightmare on that Ari. We saw it there. That was rough.
Yeah, Mike going back in. Solidarity, buddy. You're going down, I'll go down with you. We make sure we get something out of it. But solid early start there for them. Back in our game, still playing the macro game, and now the bot lanes have flipped up to the top side of the map. Blitzcrank will get pressure on to the Rift Herald. And Lee Sin just a little bit further behind, hasn't been at the right place at the right time yet, and we've seen that so much with junglers in collegiate. It just hasn't been the case for Spicy Champagne, and it kind of is representative of what the season has been a whole here. Nebraska, a team that's talented, but they just haven't been able to put it together. They haven't had the right guys at the right place at the right time with ult up, with items, and it just hasn't worked out for him so far.
So is it just a communication issue at this point, Degon? Like, what does Nebraska need to do to sort of correct some of those misplays?
Yeah, I think it just, you need to execute when Spicy Champagne's there, and here's an opportunity under the turret.
Diving underneath the turret right now. Frosty Wallace the first target goes gold a little bit longer. Fredo is stuck underneath there, but on the flank, Blitzcrank shows right on up, looking to put him right on down. He's trying to bait him back underneath the turret. Nice job. Lots of stopwatches being burned across the board right now. Nebraska's able to get a kill, but 3 members are dead. Now Parkylo's continuing to chase down the Juicers in a bit of a rough spot, continuing to try and make this Cassiopeia pay for even punishing them, trying to challenge them, and nicely done juggling the turret aggro. That's a triple kill for Parkylo.
Parkylo had the flash ready to go, rotates up first, able to dish out the damage, and then able to flash away from the Juicers' petrifying gaze. Big play there. They're able to take the dive. Blitzcrank doing a solid job on the Sejuani to take the turret. Nice, nice, nice stuff here as we take a look at it one more time. And again, we're talking about wrong place at the wrong time. Spicy Champagne's like, hey, they're going to dive top. I'm going to be here for the counter gank. Oh no, Sejuani's here, and then surprise, so is Parkylo in the mid lane rotating first, and Spicy Champagne not able to do anything before he gets knocked off. Nice play early on by Snow White and Frosty Waffles to get the play down on the Lucian, so you're thinking, hey, AD carry's gone, but then the Juicer doesn't get anything down. That's the flash I was talking about. Parkylo just predicting what the move was going to be, and here at the end, Blitzcrank's tanky. That's what Sejuani does. Tanks a turret for him, gets your carry a couple of kills. Great coordination by Purdue.
That flash predict on the Noxious Blast, that was absolutely massive. Getting himself out of there, continuing to keep up that pressure in the fight. Really nice done there for Purdue. A couple, solid moments from Nebraska, and Spicy Champagne's potentially looking to start up another moment here as the Rift Herald is being summoned in the mid, but Spicy Champagne's on the flank. Nebraska wants to fight this well. They don't have a turret to do it under any longer.
No, they don't, but again, nice flank coming from Spicy Champagne. Here he goes, gonna walk up. Who's he kick?
He's gonna look to try and go onto the Lucian, is able to do so. So really nicely done there for Spicy Champagne, finding the key carry to start off the rest of this fight, but Nebraska is still just getting chunked throughout. The 3 remaining members of Purdue still hit like a truck, but Nebraska able to shut down this push for now.
Yeah, solid hold there by Nebraska. They did lose a turret, and you wanted a more impactful ult there from Spicy Champagne. He was trying to get Rocky T Sauce to get kicked back into the rest of the team. Rocky T Sauce realized, hey, I'm going to get soloed out. He goes to the side, so the Dragon's Rage kick from Spicy Champagne kicks him sideways. Yes, he goes down, but it could have been a lot worse for Purdue there. Instead, just 1 down. They're able to fall back and take the Dragon as well. Good trade here by Purdue.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wish I looked for a little bit more there from Nebraska. They're the ones who picked up that kill, but they weren't able to transition into anything else. They didn't establish any additional map pressure, and they didn't stop Purdue from backing up and taking that Drake there. So Nebraska, I mean, I know they took a lot of poke damage at the start of that fight, but I'd still like to see them try and convert these kills into additional map objectives.
Yeah, and you know, it just feels tough because we know they have Elise in, and we just got to see how useful that Blitzcrank was in turret dive situations. And Spicy Champagne, he's going to have to pull out some really great angles to flank from. That one was relatively straightforward, just walked behind everybody, and he still wasn't able to get the great Dragon's Rage kickoff that knocks up multiple people. It allows the Juicer to go in and get the damage down. So it just gets harder and harder to execute this team composition from Nebraska. They did a solid job, which is what you ask for from these weaker teams. You did a solid job not feeding. It was like, hey, this isn't a kill gold lead. This is all based off of the macro play that Purdue has shown as they continue to march closer and closer to this gold lead and to closing this game out.
Yeah, they're already pushing themselves up 7,000 gold at this stage in the game. Not even 20 minutes in yet. Nebraska certainly on the back step, but we've seen it in collegiate. One big team fight can turn things around. However, it's going to be tough to find that team fight as Purdue is continuing to establish this vision control. Look at the amount of vision they have in the opposing team's jungle. There is nowhere safe for Nebraska to rotate and farm without Purdue knowing about it.
Yeah, and it just gets tough because when you want to spend your money on items, you want to get more damage down, get a little bit tankier.
You don't want to buy wards?
And instead, you have to buy these control wards that you know are going to get cleared out. And it's scary because you're like, okay, we're going to fight over this ward, but you don't know how many are on the other side. And now Spicy Champagne can't even go into his own jungle. Good save there by Frosty Waffles.
Yeah, pulls him right on back. Now Nebraska might want to look to start a fight out. They do have a slight numbers advantage. Spicy Champagne's going in. He's hit by the Glacial Prison. Knocked up. The follow-up is there. Nice Braum on the flank, though. Bye-bye doing a lot of work. Trying to take down Rocky T. Saw is not quite able to do so. So nice play there, but Spicy Champagne through the back of it is taking down Darius. Is going to be the next pickup. As Frosty Waffles going to be the target for the side of Purdue. Looking to continue to chase that down. As simultaneously Blitzcrank looking to try and make put the Juicer in a bad spot. The follow-up stun is there. Diving underneath the turret with impunity. That's a double kill for the Corky.
Yeah, and everybody dead on the side of Nebraska. Purdue picking skirmishes all across. This is the first time in a long time we've seen 3 different skirmishes out of a team fight as we take a look at this replay on how Purdue took care of business. And you can see Spicy Champagne just forcing this right here. It was like, hey, I got forced out of my jungle, but we have an idea. Parkilo's on the top side. Nar's there on the bottom side. And right there, he's trying to find the right kick. He gets himself ulted, and then he just has to kick everyone and then forced to run away. He doesn't get an impactful ultimate down as Lee Sin, and then you just move forward on the opposite side if you are Purdue. You've got your tanky frontliner there. Let Lucian take care of business, and then, man, Snow White so close to taking down Rocky T-Sauce, not able to, and it's just easy pickings here. The gold lead just too much for Nebraska to fight through.
That peel was absolutely monstrous. The Vayne just trying to chase down the counterpart, trying to shut down Rocky T-Sauce, getting baited back. Vision just not quite there, able to get those final auto attacks in. Nice play there from Purdue. I understand the thought process from Nebraska. They thought they had a numbers advantage. They thought they were going to be able to make it happen, but Purdue just says no.
Yeah, and when you have those, you've got to pull the trigger very quickly.
They do indeed. But, you know, we got another update from our other matches. Irene, how's it going?
It's going pretty well over here. There's a ton of fighting still. Wisconsin, ever since Northwestern actually tried to punish that face check, they've been trying to get back into the game. Northwestern is trying to fight tooth and nail here. Yamakaze gets face checked by I Am Groot one more time here, and then this fight breaks out. But the ultimates come down. The Shen, the Galio, everybody starts coming into attendance. Yamakaze makes it out, but then everybody else is just trying to get into this fight and run away simultaneously. You see, now we have Northwestern on the wrong side of the map. They're sectioned off. They're running towards the wrong base here. Light Me Up trying to get something done. Emerald Plastic is doing a great job of kiting, and then Eros tries to get this final kill here with the LeBlanc Q. The nerf coming through, the 0.1 AP, the flash forward from Emerald almost getting Yamakaze, but there are minions nearby, and he just lives with a sliver of HP, and then Yamakaze, he's going to take care of business. Gets that kill there right at the end, wrapped around for that one. But still, that's a one fight for Wisconsin, and that's what we're looking at right now is Wisconsin with control since the first fight.
Really solid play there from them. Thank you so much for the update. Back in this match, Purdue versus Nebraska, we're continuing to see pressure being put on and maybe also a little bit of punish right there. Spicy Champagne does drop, but a counter kill going over to Steel.
Yeah, and the Baron heading over to Purdue. That was the big big win there. And so Steel like, hey, look, guys, I'm going to split push. I'll take care of Spicy Champagne. No steal opportunity. Lee Sin, one of the best champions at stealing an objective with the Sonic Wave, but not able to pick that one off. Gets picked off himself. Purdue, solid control here. Talking about that other game, though, like Wisconsin and Northwestern, that's a 4-5 matchup. There's an opportunity for Northwestern to get over the hump and try to sneak in and have our upset of the day, because it doesn't look like it's coming over here in game 1 for Nebraska.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot more even team fights over in that matchup. The back and forth right there. I have to say those Galio taunts were super solid, though, keeping key members alive at clutch points there. I'm really loving to see that Champ flex more in its support position more than we saw, earlier on in the season in that mid spot. Nice, solid play there from them. We'll be keeping you updated on that match as it progresses, because back in this one, a 12,000 gold league, and here's another Drake coming over to Purdue.
Drake time. It's all water. This would be a great time to call Purdue Team Liquid, because they've got themselves 3 Ocean Drakes.
It's terrible.
Does
that mean they're going to throw at the top of this now?
That's old Team Liquid. New Team Liquid's just dominant.
I literally watched them lose on Saturday, man.
Yeah, that's different.
Okay.
That was like one of their few losses.
That's true. I think it was the third loss the entire season.
Yeah. So 11-3 as they continue to push down the bottom side of the map, and it's getting tough here for Nebraska. It is easier to defend with the physical barriers of your base, but with this massive gold lead, it's almost like you need a numbers advantage too, and they're going to have to win multiple team fights in a row. Nebraska now running out of objectives as the inner turret goes down.
They're running out of base to defend right now. Hey, able to pull in the Brahmar, though. The shield keeping him alive quite a bit longer, burning everything to take Fredo down, and they are able to do so. So nice play there for Nebraska, getting a key pick, stopping this push from Purdue.
Yeah, Hemorrhage picks up the kill there, just the damage over time. So there goes one of your peelers, initiators in Braum. But again, Baron empowered minions still up and pushing the base in 2 different lanes. Nar still feels comfortable pushing the mid lane, and then the 3 others that are mobile are fine on the bottom side as well.
Continuing to put pressure onto this inhib turret, just sitting back with these empowered minions. But that's a nice ult coming from the Juicer, taking a lot of return damage from Parky Low. The Steel is on the flank, taking these additional turret shots. He's being burned, trying to keep him alive a little bit longer. Bye-bye's there. Able to pick up the kill as the Cassiopeia, but there's the follow-up stun. Bye-bye's going to be the next one to follow. Parky Low and crew are trying to peel this on back. But Nebraska with the solid hold, looking to continue to chase down these kills. Can Snow White, he may get it done, goes in, takes so much damage from Parky Low. And now it's Rocky T. Sauce. This is the carries on the side of Purdue. Nebraska been a bit off, a little more they can do. There's the return going on in, trying to keep him a bit grounded. The flash being burned, trying to take down the Juice. The follow-up, nice knocks splash from the Juicer. Does he get the damage? No, he does not. And Rocky T. Sauce stays alive a little bit longer. Spicy Champagne trying to get it done. Jumps right back in, but Rocky T. Sauce is not done yet. Burns out. Oh, man. Dodges out everything from Thresh and survives a little bit longer.
Yeah, that was a great fight there from Purdue, or from Nebraska, fighting back. Juicer gets a nice ult down, but there's no follow-up as we take a look at how all that broke down here on the replay. And again, they're waiting for their number. They're waiting to hop right on in, and there it is. Juicer will get the ult. Only gets 1, though, and then you see he has to back up because Bye-Bye took a little bit longer to get the flank down. So Gnar does get pulled in. This is why a lot of people don't like to use Mega Gnar as much. Not as mobile, gets caught up, and then it gets traded 1 for 1, 2 for 1. Now it's like, hey, 4v2. This is great. This is our time. You tumble forwards, and there it is. I spotted myself a Vayne. Some Vayne spotting happening right there. Snow White getting caught out, and then this back and forth. Rocky T-Sauce using his flash earlier, now almost in trouble, able to use the lifesteal and stay alive. And Spicy Champagne trying to get the Dragon's Rage off, not enough damage, and they just decide, hey, you know what, we'll leave you 2 alone.
Really nice play there on both sides. Nebraska holding on a little bit longer. I believe we do have another update, though, coming back from Zyrene.
Yep, this time, Wisconsin, they're pretty much getting that chokehold over the game. Wisconsin's been doing a great job of punishing over and over again. Northwestern, another face check here. Yamakaze gets caught out, and then it just leads to 2 picks, and then they end up getting the Baron. So right now, Wisconsin, they're looking at a 10,000 gold lead, and they're putting the final touches on this game at the moment.
Well, they're not the only ones. We're seeing another fight breaking out back here with Purdue versus Nebraska. Purdue in a great spot here. Spicy Champagne, though, actually baiting out Fredo. I might have spoke too soon. The Noxie and Guillotine able to get that kill.
But look what they're losing.
Oh,
on the bottom side of the map, it's the inhib that gets taken down. Parky Low and Steel and Blitzcrank all there, able to take the bottom. And that's the thing right now with near Nebraska. You have to divert those numbers into a team fight. You can't just win 5v5, 4v4, or even 3v3. You have to try and fight 4v2, even 5v2 at times. And that's going to leave the opposite side of the map vulnerable. That's what happens here with Purdue.
I'm not sure that there has been turret damage done to Purdue so far in this game. And I'm not saying that as like a dig at Nebraska. I'm just saying that even if they're able to get a couple of these picks and translate it into some sort of lead, they have so much ground to cover if they want to mount a push of their own against Purdue. Purdue has so much of a safety net right now.
Yeah, Observer, let's take a look, starting from the bottom turret, if you guys have an opportunity. Bottom turret looks healthy to me, and then you take a look at the mid turret. I think that's healthy too, so you might actually be right. This might be a perfect turret game here for the side of Purdue, who just, again, we question Nebraska's lane assignments a little bit there in losing lanes and getting counterpicked. The only counterpick they get was mid lane, and now bye-bye, saying bye-bye here.
Living up to his name. Oh! Dark Pass, keeping it alive. I mean, Lee Sin trades his life for it, but...
Good guy, Champagne.
Good guy, Champagne. Right there. I mean, this is still opening up an opportunity for Purdue to get themselves another Baron. There is going to be a vision of this for Nebraska, but I'm not sure there's going to be much they can do to stop it at this point, especially with Nar split pushing. This is something else you've got to deal with.
Yeah, and with your Lee Sin gone, no way to steal this one out. I think if you're Nebraska, you're just hoping to continue to farm, continue to get those messy team fights where the Juicer and Snow White Hime might be able to carry bye-bye, get himself a reset. But the Lee Sin, as we get later and later into this game, 27 minutes in, second Baron going over to Purdue, is not as effective, and Nebraska's hopes getting smaller and smaller.
I mean, if there's anything for Nebraska, Cassiopeia late game scaling, Vayne late game scaling, Darius late games, like they do have, if they can turtle a little bit longer, they may start to be able to do something in these fights, but we saw Frosty Waffles there throwing up the death sentence. He's got to land those. They've got to continue to get these picks. Oh, good guy, Spicy Champagne, body blocking the culling, but the Deucer's still standing strong, but their turret is not.
No, turret does go down, and it was a valiant hold there by Nebraska. They just don't have a ton of wave clear outside of the Juicer. His range is short, and every time he steps up to get punished. Apprehend not going to land by Darius, and so it's just a siege here. Matter of time before this in-hit goes down unless Nebraska pulls the trigger.
Parkilo getting a little bit caught up. They're turning this in an instant onto bye-bye. That's a kill though on Abram, trading out 1-for-1 at this point. The Juicer still on the flank. As that's actually Snow White Hime is there as well, doing quite a bit of damage. Nicely done. Frosty Waffles going on in. And this is Purdue maybe biting up a little bit more than they can chew. The Juicer trying to get that kill. And Blitzcrank, the last man standing. That's the triple kill for the Vayne. They have started to reach that critical mass. They actually keep the inhib alive, D-Gon.
Yeah, and it's a quadra for your Vayne. That is massive there for Snow White Hime. This is the Vayne that can scale and get massive. I like the buy that he bought here. Chain Vest to continue to be a little bit more tankier and have more survival stats. That gold lead getting a little bit smaller. Still massive at 12,000. Yeah. But hey, it's on a Vayne as we take a look at how this broke out yet again. Again, split fight. Nice kick, and this is what we've been waiting to see by Spicy Champagne. The Juicer did not get his Petrifying Gaze down as well as he wanted to, but able to kite away and play safe. Champagne goes in, and it distracts the rest of the team from, hey, look, there's a Vayne that's tumbling around and killing our damage dealers. And look at that, Snow White Hime, 6-3. A little bit of a hope beacon here for Nebraska.
And Nebraska's holding on so far, keeping the inhib alive. That was absolutely massive for them. And as I said, they're starting to reach this point in the late game where they can go toe-to-toe with Purdue, despite the gold difference in some of these fights. And again, despite the fact that Purdue had the Baron in power, they had everything going for them going into that fight. They were not able to make it happen. You know, it all started off with Spicy Champagne. He may not be super relevant in these fights, but he's able to push out key members, and that's what this Lee Sin's all about.
Sure, and you see that a lot with collegiate teams. They struggle with closing out, and one of the main things that happens is that you're so focused on what you need to do. Let's take this inhib with the Baron-empowered minions, the bot lane shoving. You're so focused on yourself, you forget what the other team's trying to do to you. And Spicy Champagne now only has one job. It's not deal damage because he doesn't have the items to do that. It's get an initiation off on an important member and then let chaos reign. He did exactly that. He didn't do much after that. He ended up dying for the Juicer, but with Parkilo out of position, the team didn't know how to properly position themselves. Snow White Hime was able to clean up.
It was indeed, and we're seeing this continued split push though. Despite the fact that Nebraska, as you said, was able to clean on up. It's Purdue looking to clean up the base of their opponents right now, pushing in multiple lanes simultaneously. Actually able to get that inhib once again. Fredo, interesting ult usage right there. Same from Sejuani. They're able to turn it though into Snow White Hime as we resing. As this fight breaks up, Purdue doesn't have a whole lot of HP to work with. Bye-bye is
Parkilo's
going on in.
hooked.
But, oh, man, look at all the splash damage coming in from Purdue. This is Nebraska in shambles right now.
Bates
Corky
down.
going off on the flank. Everybody forced to flash on back. Absolutely huge as Parky Low is cleaning up this fight.
Yeah, Parky Low was hooked early on. It looked like it was going to be bad, but Snow White Hime not able to deal the damage down, and this might be all she wrote. It's only 3 members still alive. You do have the Darius, you do have the Cassiopeia. 1 turret goes down, but here goes the rest of the team. Spicy Champagne down, and now it's a 5v2.
Oh.
There's a nice one. So 1 kill pulled back on over. No minions are very low. 2 kills down for the Cassiopeia, but down she goes. It's just Frosty Waffles, and that's all she wrote. Purdue taking game 1 in dominant fashion. Small fight back there at the end by the Cornhuskers, but it's not enough. 1-0 for Purdue.
They started off strong, stumbled a little bit in the late game, but were able to get it done. Solid play there from Purdue. Nebraska, couple okay little team fights for them there at the end, but we just needed to see more of that kind of proactive play a little bit sooner.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to the draft. You didn't give yourself a lot to work with within the lanes. You said, hey, Spicy Champagne, here's some parts, make it work. And he tried. He tried in the top lane. We got to see how often he was babysitting the Darius, but didn't quite work out, and just the rest of the map started to fall apart.
Yeah, it did. It was just a solid play there from Purdue, kind of what we expected from that number 2 seed. But, of course, it's not over yet. This is, of course, the best of 3, so we're going to hop onto a short break and come back in just a bit. Game number 2.
BTN League of Legends Championship Tournament.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got a pentakill. That was beautiful.
This weekend, streaming live on Caffeine, Twitch, and YouTube.
August 11th, the BTN Big 10K is back. Run with pride and show off your school spirit at Grant Park in Chicago. Then experience the ultimate post-race fan fest and tailgate party. Register right now at btnbig10k.com.
The home of the Boilermakers, BTN.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for the BTN Championship Tournament. This is day number 1, where we just saw Purdue take down Nebraska in what was a pretty convincing fashion in game number 1. The second-seeded team, no surprise there, looked solid from minute 1 and continued the dominance all game long.
Did you see that intro from Purdue? They've got one guy holding the big drum and another guy hitting it.
Yeah.
And that was kind of what happened in this game right here to Nebraska. Purdue just had control of the game throughout and just slowly manipulated it until there weren't any more moves that Nebraska had.
Yeah, they sort of backed up into a corner. Let's take a look at the highlights from that first game. It was just solid play from start to finish. Nebraska had a couple good moments. There were some individual mechanical things they did all right, but it felt like every single time they were in a good position, one step ahead was Purdue.
Yeah, that's the difference. That is, like, this is a clear difference in what a good team is and what a great team is. And Nebraska was understanding of what was going to happen, but Purdue already had set up what they were going to do and were in position multiple times here. In fights like this, yeah, mechanics come into play. You really haven't set up a play here. Now it's like, hey, there are guys there. We're going to roll around. We've got our AD care. We're going to dish out more damage. This is what you see more out of solo queue, and it gave Nebraska an opportunity as it was a quadra kill for the Vayne Snow White Hime. But by this point, look at the gold lead. It was already a 12,000 gold lead at that point. After this, Spicy Champagne gets assassinated. Baron heading over to the side of Purdue, and they just take care of business. The base gets broken open, and there just really wasn't much left in the tank for Nebraska.
Yeah, they tried their best to hold on here at the end, but it was just overwhelming firepower coming in from the side of Purdue. They're the second-seeded team for a reason here. They looked super solid in that first game. However, Nebraska does have a chance to turn it around in game number 2, which we'll be getting to in just a second. But, of course, this isn't the only game going on here for the BTN Championship Tournament. Zyrene, give us an update on how your match went.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, University of Wisconsin, they ended up taking it. That initial face check that happened where they were checking, and then there were two people on their jungler, I Am Groot. It looked like he was going to go down, but they ran a semi-global composition. They had a Galio and a Shen who just showed up immediately, and after that fight, that just kept happening over and over again. So coming into this next draft, Northwestern, they're going to have to be very conscious of the fact that they like to draft engage, follow-up, and some semi-globals that put pressure on the map here from Wisconsin. So Wisconsin coming in, they're 1-0 up right now, and they're about to be in draft in game 2.
Yeah, and there, Zyrene, that's kind of what I want to see from Nebraska here, a clear draft plan on what to do. And I think, again, we were excited about the early part of their draft, Lee Sin going early. However, it kind of fell apart. They picked random things, and they got counterpicked pretty hard by Purdue.
Yeah, they started things off with more of an early game composition, and they set themselves up too far to go into the late game. Not the best look there from them. We'll see if they make some changes going into game number 2. But before we do that, of course, we like to profile all the amazing things that these schools are doing on campus. Let's take a look. This is our first Live Big feature.
Sometimes there's a truth burning to be told in its own way.
Anna is a true story of an enslaved woman who jumped from a window and lived to sue for her freedom. The purpose of the entire project is to expand our sense of the enslaved.
This is a historical drama. We wanted viewers to be with Anna on the ledge. My colleagues are, in my mind, superheroes. Doing this film was intensely collaborative, intensely creative. It involved students, faculty, actors, and musicians. It's like nothing I've ever had the opportunity to do.
It was an educational opportunity for all of us in the core team, and it was a great learning opportunity for students.
As a student, it was definitely a life-changing experience. And seeing everybody's hard work kind of come together really makes you feel fulfilled.
It's awesome to see there, getting a glimpse into the past, taking a look at those experiences. Super cool.
Yeah, and making an artistic entertainment feature that is historic and has racial undertones, that understands and explains that. Again, pushing the boundaries there. I love the fact that Big Ten isn't afraid of doing that.
Yeah, really cool there from them. And I mean, a lot of other cool stuff going on in the BTN right now. Oh, kind of like this tournament that we're doing. Let's get into draft for game number 2. There's no easy way to segue that one, guys. I am so sorry. All right, draft number 2. Let's get things started. Nebraska back against the wall. They lose here. They're done. What do they need to change up in this draft against Purdue?
Well, one thing that they didn't change was the side. So they felt like, hey, look, we still have the side that we want to play on. I believe 9.5 Nebraska was the red side. Side 2 is the side that most teams wanted to be on, so Nebraska gets the opportunity to do that again. So quick bans coming out still. Top lane focused by Purdue. They don't want bye-bye to pop off on anything. So Fiora, Jax, J4, a flex pick. We've seen J4 on the top side of the map, all removed. Opposite side, same bans as well. It's the Shen, Morgana, and Yasuo taken away. And right off the bat, same draft to start.
I have a case of deja vu right now, Degon. This is an identical draft to game number 1. Yep. This is exactly the same. So it seems both these teams are confident in the bans that they put forward. But if I'm Nebraska, this is where I look to change things up.
Yeah, Snow White, Hime, and Frosty Waffles were stuck under the turret for a long time. The whole team did a solid job not dying, but they were not able to get any pressure in the lanes. I like this to start off here. Bye-bye for Snow White, Hime. Get yourself the Lucian to get some pressure down on the bottom side of the map. Get yourself a winning lane so Spicy Champagne can go somewhere this time. And so Spicy Champagne returning to that Lee Sin. We got to see some kicks later on, but we got to see a lot of failed ganks, and it was so tough to watch because it wasn't even like, oh, they mis-executed the gank or they outplayed it. It was, hey, look, there's a ward clearly down. They know they're backing off, and there isn't an opportunity for Spicy Champagne to do anything. There's a lot of wasted time. Blitzcrank and the rest of Purdue were able to capitalize across the map.
Every single time Spicy Champagne looked to rotate, he was spotted. 100% of the time. There's never a moment where Purdue was like, I wonder where their Lee Sin is. Oh, no, I absolutely knew. You saw it there on the top. He walked it from one ward in the tri-brush all the way across the river to the other ward. He's just like, this is a rough time. Ended up getting baited out in multiple situations. Let's get back to the draft, though.
Speaking of a rough time, Caitlin Zyra, the fact that you're like, okay, here, we're going to go in with Lucian, we're going to win lane, we're going to be the bully. Purdue says, not so fast, my friend. We're going to outrange you. Anytime you step up, you're going to get the thorns or possibly held down. If you get snared, you're going to die because you're going to get a trap on top. That's tough. Like, I love Nebraska's adjustment, but Purdue, again, playing chess while Nebraska's playing checkers. They knew what the move was going to be. Lysandra picked up here for the Juicier in the mid lane. I like this. Yep. Lysandra's still solid mid lane, holds people in place, buys a lot of time. So now we've got some lanes to work with at level 6 for Spicy Champagne. But, man, that bot lane looking good after the first round of picks. Afterwards, that feels like it hurts.
Yeah, that's I mean, he wanted to draft something that was going to be a little more dominant. The Lucian can dish out some pretty good early pressure. But into the Caitlin Zyra, it's going to be a bit of a rough time. I do do love this Lysandra pick. She's a champ we've been seeing quite a lot in top-tier pro play. Not only does she offer a great early game wave clear, she can establish lane priority, maybe find some rotations. She's got so much utility in the mid to late game in team fights. I love that, but the team needs to play around it. We saw some missed ults around, maybe some petrifying gazes, some misplay, some counter synergy going on for Nebraska.
Can't miss the Frozen Tomb. You locked in.
Point and click.
Point and click, baby. That's the way to go if you're having some confidence issues. So Juicer will have that on the Lysandra. Bans continue to come out. The focus on the mid lane continues for Nebraska, taking away Rise and Syndra. Opposite side support removed, so you don't have that highly oppressive lane of Lucian Braum. So Braum will be removed, and Kled from the top side of the map. So Bye might have another opportunity to go back to the Darius. Wasn't bad, but again, the lanes were just losing all over the map. And what I like about the Caitlyn Zyra pick here against Lucian is that we got to see how Steel played the Gnar Darius matchup, just outspacing him, never letting him getting close. Same thing here for Rocky T Sauce and Fredo with the Caitlyn and the Zyra as we get a Leona picked here. Still going hyper aggressive for Nebraska on the bottom side of the map.
I mean, they kind of need to do it. They kind of need to go all in at this point. They need to commit. It'll be interesting to see Nebraska picks up the Kennen, which was the other top lane ban that Purdue got rid of last time. And Purdue's just looking to pull out some fun picks. I dig it.
Yeah, they're going to go with the Rumble in the top side of the map.
Or not.
Oh, JK.
It's an Ornn. Ornn got some changes as well.
Yeah,
I don't mind this pickup from there.
Yeah, and I like this again. Steel doing his job, right? Yep. Being the top lane initiator, being tanky, and just holding down whatever Nebraska throws at them. So this time, Ornn will be the selection. And then in the mid lane, Zoe. Zoe had some nerfs to the Sleepy Trouble bubble. If you get hit with it later on in the ranks, you don't get slowed as hard. But Sleepy Trouble Bubble, a great initiation tool here for Purdue, on top of the fact that you have the Glacial Prison for Sejuani. And final pick here, it's going to be Aurelia. Aurelia had some changes as well. Now on the top side of the map, not in this recent patch, but over the last several patches had some changes. Will be an aggressive top laner against the Ornn.
Yeah, interesting picks here from both teams. Irene, I got to get your input on this one.
Well, looks like Purdue, they started going some hard engage, but at the same time, poke, 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 poke. That's what it's all about here. The Caitlyn plus the Zoe, and as soon as somebody's low, you can go in with the Ornn ultimate, with the Sejuani ultimate. I like this draft from them, but at the same time, you look at Nebraska's, this bottom lane is way better. They're going to try to make Zyra plant food here with the Leona, with all the engage that they have. So Purdue's going to try to stay away, whereas Nebraska, they're going to try to dive with the Aurelia, with the Lee Sin. Basically, everybody is going to be trying to get into their faces. It's just if Purdue can make that space, and you know that Parkilo and Fredo are really good at that. So those are the two players I'm watching here in particular, is Parkilo and Fredo, to see if they can make this composition work, because there's a ton of engage on Nebraska.
Yeah, and taking a look at the summoner spell is something you got to keep an eye on. Teleport in the mid lane here for the side of the Juicer and Nebraska. They're going to want to get that first big dive going so that you can snowball a lead, because that last game, they just never got going.
They didn't. I mean, I do feel like there are a lot more tools in the tool belt for Nebraska, though, this time around. So be curious to see if they're going to be able to execute. I got to get predictions going into game number 2. I like the composition so much better for Nebraska here, but I still have to lean towards Purdue. They just looked a little bit too clean in that game number 1, and as I already mentioned, they do have the ability to poke. They have those ults to go in when they need to. I think they've got those initiation tools. They'll be able to follow up.
I'm excited about Snow White Hime and Frosty Waffles going with the Lucian Leona. I'm going to pick the upset here to go 1-1 with Nebraska.
I like it.
Zyrene.
Paul, did you say tool boat? They have a tool boat?
I'm Canadian. Stop making fun of my accent.
Well, because of that, I'm actually going to go with Nebraska. I think that Nebraska's draft, I really like it, to be honest. Like this, they counterpick the Zyra. That's one of the master tier players on that team. If you're able to just kill him over and over again, you can find a lot of openings in that game. So I feel like if they can take care of the Zoe, they'll be good. So I'm picking Nebraska here.
All right, tool boats all the way. You heard it here. I'm outnumbered on the desk. We'll see if Nebraska can turn it around in game number 2. Let's get into this game and see if they are going to be able to execute, if they can find their early game aggression and find their footing in this series.
Yeah, again, Nebraska, 7th seed, last on the Western bracket. But again, they've had games like this against Purdue where they are able to win team fights. And right here, a lot of engage and a lot of dive. A lot of the proactivity here is on the side of Nebraska. And Purdue has to be careful as the game progresses. Again, their team composition is going to be nice later on. The Zoe with the long range, Sleepy Trouble Bubbles, and the Paddle Stars. It's going to be difficult to play against, but they never get to that point. Nebraska will be looking good as we get ourselves into the late game.
It's still scary, though, putting Parky Low on one of these champs who can one-shot you come the late game. If they find the right paddle star, they set things up the right way, they're going to be able to execute it. But I do like so much more this composition that Nebraska has. And I think a lot of it's going to come down to the juicer. I mentioned it a little bit in the draft how there were some counter synergies, kicking people out of Cassiopeia ults, a couple other weird moments like that. I need to see him step up here in this game number 2, and I need Bye Bye to be the threat that Purdue has identified him as. He was the target of the bans here. He needs to be the threat that he knows he can be.
Yeah, and I think for me, I'm looking at Spicy Champagne. He's the only guy on the side of Nebraska playing the same champion. So he's got his warm-up game.
Yep.
It didn't look great, and he's like, yeah, that was an anomaly. We're going back to the aggressive Lee Sin early on. Had a couple of cases of Lee Syndrome going in after landing the Q. He needs to be proactive and aware and making sure he's making impactful plays around the map for his carries, because you got some solid ones here with the Lucian that likes to snowball with the help of the Leona, and in the top side, Aurelia. Again, Aurelia, not very useful if you fall behind. And Snow White Hime has proven that, hey, even if he falls behind a little bit earlier, just give him one team fight, he's able to pull it off.
Yeah, finding a quadra kill there in that last game. Let's hope he's not in a position where he's down 12k gold to make it happen, though. But I don't expect to see that here as much. But we're already seeing this dominant laning starting to come out. Just looking at the CS discrepancies already, the Caitlyn is going to be such a nuisance down here in this bottom lane. And you talked about how oppressive it was going to be with the Caitlyn, with the Zyra. And I expect to see that continuing on through. As up in the top, we're seeing another fight breaking out. It is Steel and Bye Bye going toe-to-toe.
Yeah, again, touched on it earlier. Bye Bye is the guy that Purdue has identified as one of the main targets for banning, and Bye Bye going aggressive in this matchup against Ornn. Ornn did get buffed a couple patches ago with his damage early on, but doesn't look like to be an issue right now. Bye Bye going on in on Steel.
Steel in a bit of a rough spot right there, forced to flash himself out. Nicely done there from Bye Bye, already pushing him right on back. This is the start that Bye Bye was looking for. You couldn't have a different opening from game number 1.
Yeah, and I think this is what they needed here. Yes, you are falling behind in a CS discrepancy, but you got yourself the flash on the top side and now a clear lane to gank.
You do indeed, and we're seeing potential first blood coming out there in the top. Yes, it is. Bye Bye is there, and he makes it happen.
Yeah, who needs a gank when you can take care of business yourself? Bye Bye knowing the limits of this champion. And think about how many bans went down onto the top side of the map. So many different bans as we take a look at it one more time. And Steel just not respecting the range of the Blade Surge there. Nice stun. Oh, it gets right there on the ankle of Ornn, and down he goes. Easy Blade Surge in, and Bye Bye picking up the first blood. Good start here for Nebraska.
Already starting to turn the momentum on its head so far in this game. That's exactly what we need to see from Nebraska here. But overall, I have to look towards this bottom side. I have to look towards this aggressive lane that we're seeing now. Let's look, and we're already seeing Rocky T. Sauce feeling the ire of Nebraska. That's another kill going right through their way. This is exactly the opening that Nebraska needed. Freddo is the next one up on the menu. Plant Foods Irene called for. We might be seeing that here in just a bit.
Yeah, extra flash for posterity there by Frosty Waffles, but he's able to pick it up, and now aggression in the mid lane. Juicer holding Parky Low down and forcing out the cleanse. Spicy Champagne showing up, gonna miss his Q, but will be able to dash himself to safety, or will he? He's forced to flash away. Blitzcrank gonna follow up. No kill there, but Summoner's burned.
Yeah, but Blitzcrank committing on that one as well, not having the damage to get that done. A bit of a misplay there from him. He could have just walked away happy knowing that Spicy Champagne was forced to burn the flash, but instead he committed his own, and now he's got to follow up on that. He's starting to repeat the invade we saw from game number 1, and this time, Spicy Champagne, that was the exact same juke he made in the last one.
Yeah, well, you got to warm up. He knows the move. Hey,
well,
we're doing the same tango. It's you're just going to come right back at me? I remember how this played out.
I mean, he didn't die the first time either, so good for him.
Yeah, with the kills, though. Good gold lead here for Nebraska starting off, and I like the fact that now Spicy Champagne has a couple lanes to gank, and Blitzcrank still going to bully this top side of the map, is a little bit healthier. Spicy Champagne doesn't want to give up on it, but he loses out the smite battle. Blitzcrank able to pick it up. Bye Bye going to roll over, but nothing there, and Blitzcrank doing the right thing, realizing the health bars are low and taking advantage of the opposing jungle.
Well, we'll see if there's any other little action happening on our other game or other match going on right now. Zyrene, give us the update.
I'm going to need a little help here, guys, because the play I just experienced, I really want to present with almost no commentary. this first blood that happens in this game, what's going on? He goes in, I am Groot. This is, if I'm saying the guy's a team player, this is the biggest team player I've ever seen. He's going to take bullets for his teammate. One turret shot of I am Groot. He goes in under the turret to flash to get one more auto. I don't know. He's like, boom. Double buffs over to Anivia. That's what he wanted to get done. And I have no idea why they would go for such an aggressive play like that, but it gets the Anivia off the ground. And speaking of aggressive plays, not even 30, 40 seconds later, this right here, super sick alpha strike to avoid the stun into the Thresh Lantern. And then it looks like the Master Yi is going to drop. You're going to start getting that jungle advantage, but nope. They get that TP through. They get that kill. And it went 1-for-1 overall across the entire map.
Crazy plays happening we're seeing not only in your game but ours as well. Thank you so much for the update, Zyrene. That first blood was a thing of beauty, maybe. Maybe. It was something.
Well,
certainly something.
The Nivea's off the ground in that game. A kill in the mid lane now for Spicy Champagne, and Nebraska turning their fortunes around against the #2 seed on the western side of the bracket. The Boilermakers having trouble making things right here. And the Cornhuskers just bringing it early, taking control of every single lane, and this is what you were talking about earlier. You wanted to see it more out of the Juicer, out of this bottom side of the map. And Spicy Champagne now playing aggressively and being successful. Maybe too aggressively here on the Dragon Call. They'll probably back off of this one. But this is a fantastic start by Nebraska. Rocky T-Sauce down a kill, forced to buy a Cole. Like, you never want to be in that position if you're Caitlyn. You're the lane bully. You want every auto attack to hit and hurt, and it just doesn't do that with the Cole. You're all about scaling up and getting the gold later and getting this cost-effective item, but that's again, not what you want if you are the side of Purdue.
And we're seeing Nebraska playing to their win condition. And I think that's honestly one of the biggest things that they're improving so far from game number 1 to game number 2. Their draft has cohesion. It's got a goal, and they're playing to that goal right now. I'm so happy to see it here from them is in the mid lane by seeing Bye making a bit of a spicy rotation. Champagne's not the only one looking to have some fun here in the mid. Blitzcrank needs to be careful, walks himself right back on out, and the Chusha taking a lot of damage. We're already starting to see those paddle stars hitting pretty darn hard.
Yeah, the spanking is happening right now, and it just stinks, right? Because the Juicer has that early kill, the assist that happened when Spicy Champagne went by. But in terms of CS, like, the items are looking so nice. It's 11 CS, almost 2 waves full of damage as we see a root down on the bottom side.
A lot of damage going on through to Frosty. Waffles is trying to recommit, though, going back in. Flash Beamer in front of the culling going on through. Nice trade. Just know what he is going to be able to get a counter kill down there in the bottom. Both supports are going down, and both carries picking up the kills.
Yeah, and that's the scary nature of playing with the Zyre, playing against the Zyre. You get snared in place, then the trap goes down, then you get 90 caliber netted. That's 1, 2, 3 headshots in a row if you have one already loaded. Just a lot of upfront damage here by the bot lane of Purdue, and it looks like we're having aggression on the top side.
We're seeing Steel in maybe a bit of a rough spot, but it might be actually a bait onto Bye. The chain CC is there, trying to go with the Blade Charge, not able to get it done. The flash, get himself right back out. Bye is going to be there, though. Nice stun, turning it right around. Bye saying just that to Purdue.
Yeah, they might not be done yet. Spicy Champagne wants to get in, hits the minion to get the ult, and gets a double kill for the top side. Bye. He's rolling at 3-0. Great play by Spicy Champagne, but even better by Bye surviving the initial 1v2.
Beautiful play there from them. Such a solid start from Nebraska here in this game. We got more action going on as well. Zyrene, give us the update.
We just had our first big team fight over on the side for Wisconsin. They walk away from this one with a heavy advantage in the game. If you guys are a top laner, you got TP. You want to be like Mike. You want to get in this fight as fast as possible. This dude on the cannon, the flash, the ultimate Mike, taking care of business in this team fight. Makes it so that it ends up being a 3-for-1 overall. Honestly, this is the type of team fighting that you want to see. The Anivia comes in too, and the fact that Jarvan kind of inted at the start is paying off now.
I mean, really nice play there from them. That is exactly the kind of rotation that I expect. I'm just kidding. That never happens with my top laners. Anyway, we're seeing so much fantastic play from both of these games. So much different in game number 2 now for Nebraska. It's looking like a completely different team, Degon.
Yeah, it definitely is, and you're getting to see the individual prowess of these players and why they wanted to ban out Bye on the top side of the map. He's been making plays, and now here Here comes the stun, but surprise, Blitzcrank in the bottom side bush, and it turns this 2v2 into a 2v3. And rotation now by the mid laner, Parky Low. It's a 2v4, easy pickings here for the side of Purdue, pulling one back off an aggressive engage by Nebraska.
This is the bait they were trying to execute in the top lane, making it work down here in the bottom. Snow White, He-Man are a bit of a rough spot. Blitzcrank dives on through with the flash to secure it. He's up against Spicy Champagne. Diving underneath the turrets, but it is no problem. Blitzcrank and crew. I may have spoke too soon as Spicy Champagne goes right back in. Flash and commit everything for that kill. He's warmed up on this Lee Sin.
Yeah, and I was about to give him a lot of flack there for not going aggressive. He pulled away, wanted to be safe, and it all starts with initial engage here. Leona getting too aggressive without proper vision. Waiting in the bush was the Sejuani, so Frosty Waffles realizing, yeah, I'm dead. I'm going to step forward, keep my AD carry safe, but then Lucian hanging around a little bit too long here, playing bait, the ace in the hole, going to land. Smite almost picks up the kill, but then you waste the flash of the Sejuani to pick that one up. And right here, I was like, hey, Spicy Champagne, Blitzcrank so low, get a couple auto attacks off. And he says, I got you, my friend. Gets the flash Q off, Sonic Wave into Resonating Strike. Good pickup here, and Spicy Champagne driving this one forward after you warmed up. He had the first game. It was a warm-up. It was a warm-up game. Second, the Drake heading on over to the side of Nebraska as well. Good job by the Cornhuskers pushing the tempo, but now the gold lead getting smaller. Now on the top side of the map, Bye-Bye going in on Steel. Steel trying to get the ultimate down. Will be able to knock up the Aurelia, but Steel just not tanky enough. Blitzcrank not in time, but will be able to slow down Bye-Bye. Will he be able to make one more outplay? Maybe. Yes, he does get the stun down, but the stun gets returned by Blitzcrank. And now Bye-Bye going in. Blade surging to minions all around, able to get himself to safety. Good play by the top laner by Nebraska.
Yo, Bye-Bye's a beast. Just saying. That was an absolutely stellar play. Those flawless duets were just that. The Paddle Star goes on through, not able to connect. The Sleepy Trouble Bubble is there. Sleep a little bit longer. And that's the shutdown from Park E low. All right. Bye-Bye. I mean, to be fair, he was left he was left up there for so long. They finally committed the resources to take him down. But this is still 8 kills to 4, but it's dead even in terms of gold, Degon.
Yeah, it's dead even in terms of gold because you take a look at that mid lane CS discrepancy. It is almost 20, and that's the second time we've seen the Juicer get out-rotated by Parkilo. Doesn't have TP, isn't like a massive roamer, but continually getting to the spot first and helping out his team.
He was indeed, and oh man, this is a bit of a rough spot, especially for potentially be a bit of a rough spot for Purdue if Nebraska continues to mount this push down here in the bottom. We're going to hold on here and see if Lee Sin's going to commit on this flank. Zyra and Caitlyn are there, not connecting a Spicy Champagne, and that's going to be the signal to retreat. But who would know who's not retreating right now? What's our coverage of all this awesome game? Zyrene, how's it going?
Well, Northwestern just got their kind of vengeance here. Northwestern just ended up taking a team fight for themselves, and they have a late game Vayne and a Master Yi. And this is off the back of this starts off Donald Talia on the Thresh. He's not building the wall, he's building the box. He's going to keep 2 people in there. He's going to make sure that they're fighting him the whole time. And even though he goes down, he starts this fight off on the right foot. You see this tail end of it. Boom, the Master Yi comes in, picks that one up, and now him and the Vayne, Messiah and Yamakaze, they're going to get these kills. So it was looking great for Wisconsin. Now, Northwestern, they have this late game scaling, and that's what they have to worry about right now.
Oh, beautiful play there from them, and we actually saw a quick series of kills here in our game as well. Kills going back and forth across the Big Den. Hopefully we'll be able to catch those kills once more on a replay. Degon, so much action.
Yeah, Northwestern pulling out the aggressive Master Yi. One thing that's getting pulled out right now is the TP play from the top laner. Bye-Bye picking up his 5th kill of the game. Now Fredo, not going to be long for this world. Zyrene asked for it. He gets it. It's plant food out of Zyra, and it goes over to the Aurelia. Bye-Bye. He's going to be the reason why Nebraska gets this win if they're able to pull this one out. But it is still a 300 gold deficit for the Cornhuskers. Even though they're up so many kills right now, it's been the shutdown gold going over, the CS discrepancy in the mid lane. And really, the Juicer needs to step it up. While we're in that replay break, he got killed. Let's take a look at how this happened one more time. The Juicer stepping up, and it's the classic move, the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. Great play by Parky Low, anticipating when the claw was going to be completed. Hits the Juicer right in the face, then good rotation by Blitzcrank. Spicy Champagne gets himself caught out as well, and Parky Low gets himself going with a couple of kills.
Parky Low, though, getting another kill there onto the Juicer during that as well. Just, he's reaching the point, as I mentioned, it's so scary. Zoe can just one-shot you, and this is potentially what we're seeing right now. Actually getting pretty much one-shot himself at this point. So that's a great counter kill, and that's exactly the kind of shutdown that Nebraska needs. They're turning themselves around. They picked up the turret in the bottom. They're going to be looking to rotate up here to the top, switching out here with Bye-Bye on this Aurelia, but maybe a fight breaking out here in the river.
Not done yet. Frosty Waffles getting aggressive and zoning out. Oh, Shelly's going to reset and make everything good. But again, nice play here by Nebraska to continue pushing the tempo.
They are indeed now looking like Rift Herald going the way of Nebraska potentially right here as they can continue to push this down. I don't think there's any chance that Purdue is going to contest this.
No, they shouldn't. But right now, Fredo just kind of walking lackadaisically, getting caught out, and Frosty Waffles and the Juicer taking care of business, taking care of that. Zyra just getting caught out with the Rift Herald. Now they can get aggressive. Bye-Bye now going between the turrets. Will get knocked up by Steel and Blitzcrank, but good ultimate down. Holds people in place, and everyone diving. This is what Zyrene wanted out of this team composition from Nebraska. They dive between turrets and pick up another kill. Rift Herald on the turret. Will do the damage and will take down this turret in just a little bit of time. Blitzcrank trying to get a little aggressive. Here comes Rocky T-Sauce. He uses the net forward. That's very scary, but not able to find anything. Nebraska pushing the right buttons and getting aggressive at the right time.
Not a lot of HP to work with, though. If Parky Low can land some of these paddle stars, but Bye-Bye and the Juicer survive. They have a few HP between them. Parky Low is starting to reach the point where he is so scary. Not quite able to get it done. Great job there from Nebraska. More amazing action and more amazing action. I don't even want it. Zyrene is standing by with an update, but every single time I want to throw to him, there are just more kills. Let's take a breath. Zyrene, how's it going?
Your Honor, I already presented to you Exhibit A on why Mike is great and you want to be like him. Here is Exhibit B, where Mike will come into this fight. TP once again, Pixel Brush. Looks like that guy who's got the stuff, he's going to get out of there. The 2 kills come down here, and this ends up being 5 kills going over. We said Northwestern, they were starting to get a hold in this game with their scaling, the Master Yi, the Vayne. That doesn't matter here. The Cannon comes in, takes care of business. They go for the entire back end of the fight and chase them down. Here comes the Yi, here comes the Vayne. It doesn't matter. The Anivia's on the side. Yamakaze just walks straight in. Yamakaze that fight, straight up.
Absolutely beautiful play there, and that is all 5 dead. Hey, it looks like starting things out, giving the Anivia both buffs. Always the key to victory. Maybe not. Maybe that's a bold statement.
Yeah, that's a bold statement, but it's working out right now for them, and it's the outcome expected so far by Wisconsin. You're a little bit rougher, and again, you got Vayne and Master Yi on the opposite side for Northwestern, but I feel confident that the Badgers will be able to pull this one out. Not as confident here in Nebraska, who has himself an early gold lead, the kill lead. And the gold lead now starting to dissipate. Juicer able to hold Steel down, flash away, and that's going to be possibly also a big Bye-Bye and Juicer not on the same page, but here comes Frosty Waffles saying, all right, you two can't take care of it, fine, we'll all go down here and dive the bottom side of the map. What do they get, though? What does Purdue get? You spend a lot of resources here. On the top side, you've got a pushing Caitlyn and Zyra that can push turrets very, very quickly with the plants and the auto attacks. So it looks like Nebraska's going to call and stay here on the bottom turret. This might turn into a base race.
And look to continue to trade out the damage, and this is another great kill going through onto Blitzcrank. The turret falls up top, but a lot of damage being taken by the side of Nebraska. Parky Lowe's got so much insane poke damage with the paddle stars. Nice frozen tomb from the Juicer to stay alive a little bit longer. The CP Bubble's not going to connect. So a bit of a misplay there.
No one's recalling.
But yeah, this is actually huge, though.
No one's recalling on the top side of the map. The Caitlyn and the Zyra are able to continue to push. Yes, you get the turret, but you might lose your inhib turret, possibly your inhib, but no, Spicy Champagne getting aggressive onto Parky Low. Nice movement away, keeps him safe, and yeah, that's going to be the inhib, no problem. Or will Snow White be able to hold this one? I don't think he'll be able to hold it.
They're going to look to commit to get it done. Actually, are they going to be able to get back? Nice Zyra ult to zone, but the inhib lives. Snow White Hime did his job. No one from Purdue dies, and that was pretty huge.
Yeah, great ult there by Fredo to disengage. Snow White Hime doing his job, but again, it goes back to the macro against the micro. Nebraska does a great job diving under the inner turret of the bot side of the map of Purdue, but then they lose multiple turrets here in that trade. Yeah, you got a kill, and a turret, but you got 2 turrets there for Purdue, and they have to be aware now that, you could get TP'd on, or there's an open inhib, an easy way to get to the turret if you lose a big team fight. One good thing happening here for Nebraska is that Purdue doesn't have a strong split pusher on their team like the Aurelia is at 7-2-2 for Bye-Bye in Nebraska. So it might not be as bad of a trade as we initially thought, but again, not the best trade here for Nebraska, who's in front. They should be the team that's proactive, not on the back foot, as you get to see him bounce back and take the turret on the top side of the map. But the gold lead here, very, very close between these two squads in game 2.
Yeah, much better game for Nebraska here. One of the things I love that they're doing is continuing to establish vision when they're able to push in. They have a little bit more control in this game. Game 1 was all Purdue, all control. They had the vision. They knew where Nebraska was rotating. They're able to get some sick ganks. This time it's Steele going 0-5, the player who I praised as being so consistent. You're 0-5-0 versus 7-2-2. I mean, I don't need to. I'm not great at math personally, but even I can tell you that's not the stat line you want to have, D-Gon.
No, it's not, and he's building team fight, right? I mean, you really can't build any other way right now. You're not going to split push the Aurelia, especially after all those mistakes you made in the lane. And Ornn does have a massive impact in those fights, and it's all based off of Call of the Forge God. You just get that ultimate down, you create a massive space that people have to play around, and it creates issues. And right now, Parky Low, though, getting a Sleepy Trouble Bubble, Snow Right Hime. That's a lot of damage from the ace in the hole. That got buffed in this patch.
Indeed. We're still, once again, seeing the battle coming down. Those flawless duets from Bye Bye just do not seem to miss.
Here we go.
Once again, Steele's going to look to try and put down the Call of the Forge God. Ring, but it does not answer. Bye Bye walking right on through once again, securing another solo kill here. And I think it's affecting the whole team. We're seeing another alt whiffing from Blitzcrank. They're forcing off the Baron, and this is Nebraska once again looking brash in this game, feeling so much more confident. They have the split pusher. They're putting the pressure on themselves. However, they need to respect the Zoe.
This is aggressive. This is very aggressive. They're going to start doing the Baron to
Bye-bye
hold
STP.
Purdue in place. They want to hold Purdue in place while Bye-Bye is split pushing. In goes Juicer. Juicer gets caught out.
Frosty Waffles goes in, takes a lot of damage, goes to get picked up instantly, but we do have Bye-Bye there on
Parky
the flank.
Low.
Nice then. Oh, there you go. Taking down a key member. Rutgers is going to still be alive, though, getting shredded by someone. He may try to chase him down. Does he get the damage to get it done? And it looks like, no, he does not. Rutgers does survive, but this is now a pretty split fight. As this is Wani bringing back the rest of the team. Spicy Champagne and crew are still there, but this is Fredo up against the world, though. Now he's baiting the rest of the team back and allowing his carry to live. That was massive. Nicely done, but this is still Nebraska coming out on top.
Yeah, Nebraska making the moves and forcing the questions out of Purdue. I think Purdue did an okay job of answering it. Yes, they lost a couple of members here, but they stopped the Baron, and they stopped the split push, and they got the TP out of all this. Let's take a look at it one more time. Rocky T-Sauce playing very aggressive, and you see the immediate engage by the Juicer, forced to use his ultimate early. Down in the back line went Frosty Waffles, wasn't able to do too much, and then this 80 carry battle gets evened up by Fredo. Fredo's like, yeah, it would be cool to see a 1v1 80 carry, but I'd rather see my 80 carry live. Gets a couple autos off, dishes out the damage onto the Lucian, and it stops the Baron attempt, it stops the split pushing, and they have the TP advantage of Bye-Bye. Juicer is not a split push threat, because he's just not there yet with items. He got punished in lane. You can see the difference between mid laners right now, 194 to 159 by Parky Low. And the kills, 3 kills to 1 kill. Even though Parky Low's team was falling behind, he's done a solid job keeping up in CS and being one of the main focal points. When he fell first in that fight, Purdue had to just go ahead and lick their wounds, and they did okay getting themselves out, not losing major members or the Baron.
Yeah, I got to give them props there, losing that key member in the mid. However, we are seeing a battle of those mids right now. The Juicer going back in, Parky Low expecting the follow-up there, but the rest of the team of Nebraska wasn't in position. That might have actually been a huge misstep, but still, Qual's quiet on the front right now. We're seeing, though, more action coming in from other games. Irene, how's it going?
Well, there was more action. It's over now. Northwestern ended up losing, and Wisconsin has gone 2-0. The final team fight here is a great example of just how much they were able to force this. The Galley won their team composition again. The amount of engage that they have the Jarvan, they have Mike going in again. Mike is honestly just tearing this series up. It's a 2-0 for them. 51 minutes combined match time. That was it. It was over before it even started, and that's going to be Wisconsin moving on to the next round.
Really solid play there from them. Those slicing maelstroms were oh so terrifying, and well, trying to take Baron is terrifying for Nebraska right now. Frosty Waffles getting picked off in this game over. Spicy Champagne is here on the flank, setting things up in the pixel brush. This is all 5 members of Purdue deathballing, staring down the barrel of Nebraska. We saw one of our series ending, and if Purdue can turn things around for themselves in this game, and they haven't been able to find the kills they wanted, but they could potentially still take this series themselves 2-0.
That's right, and you could see good engage there. You only lost your support if you're Nebraska, so there is an opportunity steal. Does not have Call the Forge God. You do have Lee Sin and Lysandra on the flank, though.
Juicer maybe looking to go on in. Fredo taking a lot of damage to start this up. Nicely done. The flash, the full committal. Lots of damage going on through from the side of Nebraska to bring everyone else to the flank.
There's the
that is
kick.
Spicy Champagne. Kick them right back through. And the blade surges from Bye Bye are shredding them apart right now. Purdue getting clumped together into the meat grinder that is Nebraska.
Yeah, 4 kills heading over to the side of Nebraska. That's the team fight we've been looking for. We've been asking for out of this team composition. You get the flank from the side of the Lysandra. Make sure you keep an eye on the Juicer there. And then Spicy Champagne, even more patient, goes all the way around and waits. A 4-man snare there, rooted into the ground by the Lysandra, buying enough time. Then Spicy Champagne getting himself onto the back line. We've been waiting to see the Lee Sin do this over and over again, and he's done it. 6-2-4. Spicy Champagne leading his boys for closer and closer to tying this this series up, and possibly a massive upset. The 7 seed taking the 2 seed. Barron heading over to the side of Nebraska. Gold lead. This is the first time we've seen in this game one team take control of the game, and now Nebraska has it, and they're in the driver's seat.
They are indeed. This is the first time Nebraska's had any sort of tangible gold lead right now. Up 10 kills. They've got the Baron. They've got control on the Rift as well. They haven't been able to crack the base quite yet of Purdue, but these inhib turrets are not long for this world if Nebraska continue doing the split pushing they've been doing so far this game.
Yeah, so I think coming back down to earth, because that was a fantastic flank, a good play here by Nebraska. We've seen it over and over again in the collegiate scene. Teams get these leads, and this is a pretty solid lead. It's not a, 10,000, 12,000 gold lead that we saw Purdue have, but this is a lead that a lot of competitive teams get. If you're Nebraska with the Baron buff, they need to make sure they're not the ones making the misstep because they're so focused on what they are doing. You've got to be thinking, okay, we have Baron, we're going to use the Baron-empowered minions, we have a split pusher in Aurelia, doesn't have TP, but neither does the Ornn. What are they going to try to do to us and prevent that from happening? How do we prevent a flank coming down? How do we make sure that we don't just get a numbers advantage on our split pusher? It's the vision. It's the vision game. They need to continue putting down wards. Right now, Spicy Champagne only at 26 ward score compared to Blitzcrank, who's done a solid job warding and dewarding at 40. They've got to continue investing in vision. And you can see what they're doing here is like babysitting Bye Bye. Bye Bye is going to continue the split push. He's the big guy. He's one of the most fed, and so is Spicy Champagne. That means the rest of the team has to stay away from engage range. Don't get in range of Call the Forge God or whoever's going to be engaging for the side of Purdue. Just continue to Baron empower the minions in the mid lane and then back up.
But I have to give props to Purdue through all of this. They've been doing a fairly good job on this defense game, not allowing Nebraska to get any sort of massive advantage through these Baron Empowered minions. They will be able to pick up another Drake for themselves. This third one going over their way. So nicely done for Nebraska. They weren't able to pick up. They didn't do a single point of tower damage in that last game, Degon. They are already looking so much better. They're pretty close to putting this game in the books for themselves and going on to game number 3. They need one convincing team fight, and they could do it.
Yeah, and went back and checked that one. There was a little bit of damage on the top lane turret. Yeah. But the you were right, mid lane turret and the bot lane turret. I don't think I've seen that in a very long time in a competitive League of Legends game. Very, very close to a perfect turret game. And that's a testament to the bounce back, to the resolve that Nebraska has shown, and the fact that they picked the same side. We touched on it earlier. Red side is usually the side you want to be on. A 9.5, 9.6 just came out this week, so teams are still feeling out what's strong and what's not. And again, we also touched on it. We didn't see any of the broken picks that we thought were broken in 9.6, picked or banned. It's just been like, hey, look, that Lee Sin game, anomaly. I can take anyone on Lee Sin. The Aurelia, hey, you can ban as many champs as you want. Bye Bye will find something that he can carry on.
He's been doing just that so far in this game. 9-2-0, a 300 gold bounty on his head, going into what will likely be a fight pretty darn soon, as we see Nebraska setting themselves up in the jungle of their opponents. The death by 1,000 cuts, chipping down the turrets of Purdue, forcing them right on back. But every single time those paddle stars connect, Irene touched on it to start things off, the idea of the poke war from Purdue. And it's going to be the poke battle versus the initiation from Nebraska. If Nebraska can find it once again, like they have been, if they can pick off a key target, I don't think there's much Purdue can do.
Yeah, it seems like Purdue has done a solid job. Their team composition has a lot of wave clear in it with the Zyra, with the Caitlyn, and with Parky Lowe's Zoe to continue pushing stuff off. And they didn't lose that much off the Baron. I think Nebraska didn't do a great job split pushing and getting Baron empowered minions down into the lane. I think you're also afraid that your 3/4, if you have Lee Sin there, everyone except Aurelia won't win in a 4v4 against Purdue. So you're kind of caught in this weird place here if you're Nebraska. You took the Baron, you got the team fight you wanted, but then you stalled out a little bit. It gives Purdue time to stabilize the gold lead, get the items that they wanted.
And they've been not quite able to stabilize this year, though. Still maintaining about a 4K gold lead is Nebraska. Good for them. As we mentioned, it was a 12K difference for Purdue in our last game, but this is Nebraska looking so much better. But as you mentioned, they just weren't able to convert a whole lot off of that Baron, and we weren't able to see Aurelia get another solo kill. Not trying to call you out too much, Steele, but another solo kill onto the Orn down there in the bottom, who's being forced back. So this is Nebraska looking to continue to split push, but we mentioned that sometimes these collegiate teams have trouble ending games, and I feel like we're seeing a bit of this now. It doesn't seem like Nebraska knows what they're supposed to do next.
Yeah, and I think they'll just have to wait up until Baron comes back up. The Baron dance will resume, and I think that's when they're most deadliest, because now Baron becomes another objective to focus around. It's not just like, hey, we could sit in the lane and CS under turret and we'll be fine if you're Purdue. Now Baron's on the map. You know that your split pusher on the bottom side of the map, bye-bye, can take it to Steel. However, Steel's invested a lot into defensive items. He got himself the upgraded Frozen Fist, got himself upgraded Forge Fire Cape, and the Randuin's Omen. That's a lot of armor to try and slow down the damage that bye-bye can deal and slow down the split push even when Baron comes up. So we'll keep an eye on the split push game, and yeah, Snow White Hime does have the QSS. Heals early just to be sure that the ace in the hole wasn't going to be the end of him. So nice little catch from Purdue as they now move towards the Baron dance. And this is what we're probably going to see for the next couple of minutes here, Paul. Just dancing back and forth with Vision. One team puts it down. They like kind of skirmish a little bit, then one team backs off and then goes by some more wards, and the other team comes in, clears it out. It'll be back and forth until someone decides to pull the trigger.
Yeah, doing a, you know, maybe not the most flawless duet right here. Bye-bye has anything to say about it, but they're doing a bit of a do-si-do around this pit. Wanting to make sure both teams have established vision and clearing out their opponent's vision, as you're seeing here. Lots of wards being dropped for Nebraska. Want to make sure they have full control of this while the Aurelia is still split pushing. She will have TP, though, to move on in. So keep an eye on that. If Steel is going to commit to the split push as well, he's got to be aware of this TP from his opponent. And the rest of the team has to be aware that if they commit to this fight, there's going to be a bit of a chance, or a bit of time rather, before the Call of the Forge God is going to come into play.
Yeah, and bye-bye, if you take a look on the mini-map on the bottom side of the map, now walking the minions up towards the base, which means he should be able to back off in TP, but nice chunk there. Fredo dealing a lot of damage with the Zyra, has the Eye of the Frost and the Leander's Torment, and now Blitzcrank looking for an ultimate, will throw one over, misses the Lysandre forced to use ult, and the engage now on Snow White Hime, dishing out the damage, doesn't get hit. On the bottom side of the map, we have an engage coming out by Steel, and I'm not sure if that's what you want. Bye-bye wants to take these fights, but you see how less effective he is now because of how much armor. It seems like, again, we're just at an impasse that both teams are kind of just going back and forth, and now Baron being started up by Purdue. They think better of it. Engage coming out of Nebraska. Boy, Paul, it's going back and forth here.
It is the fight breaking out now, baiting out, or trying to bait out as much as they can for Nebraska, forcing out the ult from the Leona there. So that's a little bit going the way of Purdue to start this off, as all 5 members are now here. The TP was burned from bye-bye, so that was well worth it for the side of Purdue. The Orn is going to look to continue to split push this out, but Blitzcrank is going right on in. Spicy Champagne's going to be the target. A lot of damage going on through bye-bye as well. Already chunked to start this off, so the poke war going in favor of Purdue. They're trying to force back the rest of the team as we see Orn TPing into the back simultaneously. Baron's going to be the target for them. They're looking to start this up as the side of Nebraska is going to look to slow this down, reset. Sleepy Trouble bubbles are coming on out, but they still have the option to go back in, D-Gon.
Yeah, the TP's burned, so no more split push threat. It might just be a smite fight. I can't believe that's what this comes down to. I would give the edge to the Lee Sin, not only because his kit, he has the resonating strike, the Sonic Wave into Resonating Strike, but also he's 2 levels up on Blitzcrank. I think Purdue just realized that now because they spent so much time there on the top side of the map. They forget, hey, minions are pushing down the mid lane, and that's a free turret here picked up by Nebraska. Now Frosty Waffle's in a little bit of trouble, will walk himself out to safety, and this is just the macro play. It's getting sloppy, but this time Nebraska able to pick this one out and take the spoils here. They'll not only get the mid lane turret, but also get this Drake as we move further and further to the Elder Drake state. 35 minutes into the game.
Well, you said it, D-Gon. Talking about the macro plays there, in this case going in favor of Nebraska. They're seeing an opening and able to take a turret free. Beautiful play there from them, but as this game goes longer and longer, the 35-minute mark, I keep looking towards the damage that Park Elo is doing. If he's able to land a key Sleepy Trouble bubble and you don't have a QSS to deal with it, That is a lot of trouble if you're on the side of Nebraska.
Yeah, no Morgana to give you the black shield and just give you that immediate escape. So Parky Low is going to be huge with those sleepy trouble bubbles as we get later on into this match. And again, just got to do this Baron dance. I think it was a nice play here by Nebraska to set up the wave. Purdue wasn't ready for it. They tried to commit to the Baron, but they don't have a Mountain Drake. They have an Infernal Drake, that's nice, but they don't have a Mountain Drake, and allows you to burn down those Barons, the neutral objectives faster. So this is what we'll see. We'll just see a lot of split pushing out of Steel, and then clearing out the way, or clearing out the vision for Purdue, and then go back and get themselves more wards. No TPs means that it's probably just going to be team fight time. Who gets the team fight off first? Who gets an initiation off first? And you got good tools on both sides.
You do have good tools, but all 5 members need to be together if that's the case. They have vision knowing that all 5 members of Purdue are not there. Bye-bye and crew are walking up forward. It's going to be a second before the Orin and Zyra can get themselves in position. Nebraska not quite far enough forward to be able to take advantage. Rocky T Sauce is going on in. Big crits on the Snow White Hime. Looking to try and find some return damage. That culling is way off the mark. Another team's going to the flank. A lot of ults being committed as they redo it. The call of the Forge God looking to try and reinitiate. Spicy Champagne is going right on through, taking a lot of damage. Goes gold, trying to survive a little bit longer. Rocky Sauce is there, but Parky Low is getting chunked. Uses his Zonies to stay alive a little bit longer, but still, the rest of the team is in a rough spot. Nebraska surviving through this bye-bye, split the fight up so beautifully. The rest of the team getting forced back by that Lee Sin. This is now all 4 members dead for Purdue. The Orin, the last man standing, in Nebraska not losing a single member.
Oh my goodness, everyone focusing in, trying to get down Snow White Hime and realizing, hey look, he's missing his Coley, let's turn around, let's kill him. And the rest of the team comes on in for Nebraska. Steel had an opportunity to hit 4 members with his Call of the Forge God, missed the second cast of it, and now that might be all she wrote here for Purdue. Nebraska might have the comeback.
They might have it indeed, and I believe they do, Degon. They're pushing in onto the Nexus, and that is going to be all she wrote for game number 2. Nebraska with the comeback means we are going all the way to game number 3. You predicted it. Zyrene predicted it. I didn't believe it. I was proven wrong. Nebraska has what it takes. This is the playoffs, which means that on any given Thursday, we'll go with, because it's Thursday, the 7-seeded team can take down the number 2 seed. But it's not done yet, Degon.
No, it's not, and you got to look to the top lane. Bye-bye called his own number. Like, I was like, oh yeah, you burn the flash early on the Orin. Great lane to gank up here. And he killed him by himself. From there, finishes the game 11-2-7. Massive game there. What will Purdue do? They already banned, like, what, 5-6 champions at the top lane.
I don't know. How do you shut down Bye-Bye at this point? He's got so many tricks up his sleeve. Nicely done there from them. As we did hear from Zyrene over the course of that match, though, we did resolve our other matchup, and it was a 2-0 there in our Wisconsin-Northwestern matchup. So congrats over there as well. We're seeing the quick 2-0, but our series is far from done, Degon. We're going to hop on to a short break. When we return, the ace match. It's game number 3, so don't go anywhere.
The BTN League of Legends Championship Tournament.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got a pentakill. That was beautiful.
This weekend, streaming live on Caffeine, Twitch, and YouTube.
August 11th, the BTN Big 10K is back. Run with pride and show off your school spirit at Grant Park in Chicago. Then experience the ultimate post-race fan fest and tailgate party. Register right now at btnbig10k.com.
the home of the Huskers. BTN.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We just witnessed Nebraska taking on Purdue and getting it done in game number 2. This is the BTN Championship Tournament. Thank you so much. I'm Paul Inverum Todd-Kill, joined as always by Daniel D. Gonzalez. Where, are we about to witness the upset?
I think it was easy to pick Nebraska in that form because of the draft.
It was good.
Got to see the draft first, but man, they played really well. They got a lot of what they wanted. They changed their draft strategy a little bit. We'll talk about that in a second. Lee Sin again, and you got to see a big change in that jungler.
Oh, such a better game there in game number 2. Let's take a look at the highlights from this second game because it was a completely different story from game number 1. In game number 1, we saw Purdue come out of the gate swinging, secure themselves a 12K gold lead, 10K at like the 17-minute mark. It was dumb. It was very dumb. Game number 2, however, we saw early aggression and lots of kills going to the way of Nebraska.
Yeah, and I just loved the start here by the Cornhuskers. They were able to take advantage of what they were given, especially into the draft, and then you could see the Spicy Champagne just feeling himself. Like, again, didn't land the Q, so you're like, okay, dive not going to happen. You're going to be fine. Instead, still goes in, has the angle, and line that up. And then even down here, Spicy Champagne recovering what could have been a tough play there. And then Rocky T Sauce just never quite got going in the laning phase. And this is a lane where you got to play on a nice edge. When near the Caitlyn, the Zyra, you want to punish every time Frosty Waffles and Snow White Hime are in range, but you can't get in range yourself. When you do, things fall apart. And then here later on, once we got ourselves out of the laning phase, again, Spicy Champagne and Bye Bye doing a fantastic job setting the tone. And the Juicer on something a little bit easier made a big play there, 4-man route, holding people in place. Rocky T Sauce uses his QSS at that point, focused on the Lysandra. Surprise, Lee Sin behind you, kicks you in the back, goes down. That turned into a Baron. And that was really when Nebraska was able to take control of the game and show off what they had.
I mean, pushing everybody back into the middle of the Aurelia, Blade Surge on Blade Surge, might as well call that one the blender. At the end of the day, just solid play from Nebraska. They turned it around in game number 2. But a lot of it, as you mentioned, had to do with the draft. You and Zyrene were talking about it during the break, and let's just have this conversation together as a group right now because you guys are making some fantastic points about this draft from Nebraska.
Yeah, Aiden. So, like, one of the big things here for me was you changed up so much of the draft in terms of, like, the picks, but you were talking about who they were picking for.
Yeah, like, you looked at what they did in game 1. They last picked for their mid laner, who's the worst player on the team, up against the best player on the other team. I think that's absolutely wrong, because even if you give him the best pick in that matchup, he's not going to win. He's just going to lose less. So what they did is they picked him something that's blind pickable with the Lysandra, Malzahar, things that can do that. They got the Leona later on after they felt like, hey, you picked Zyra, you're going to ban like Braum, maybe Alistar. You're not going to ban all of the things that can go after a Zyra. So they pick up the Leona. Then they get the last pick for their best player who gets to play against somebody who plays tanks. Like, that is how you win a game as opposed to not lose it.
Yeah, and I love the fact that it doesn't matter how deep in the champ pool they've been banning, has Purdue against the top lane. They had something prepared. The first game, it was a Darius, and it's like, okay, you're going to try to force the top laner in that one. This time, it seemed it was so elegantly done, planned around, and almost like out of drafting them.
Yeah. I definitely think they had a way easier to use composition. And then the one with the Zoe, it's so hard to actually make that work against all that engage, because if there's like 1 or 2 people who can engage on the other team, it's like, okay, you just have to watch for these key abilities. But here it's like you're getting engaged on left and right. You saw that Lee Sin come from the back where he got that kick. Man, you're gonna get sciatica after that. He hit you right in the spine. He was right behind them, and so from all angles, that's so hard to cover.
Yeah, it was really tough, and we just saw a lot of great fights, great picks, good initiations there, a complete shift in momentum from Nebraska in game number 2. We'll touch back in with you, Zyrene, after the draft to get your thoughts on it. We'll see if they're able to continue the momentum going in game number 3, or we'll see if Purdue finds a response here, Degon, because, of course, they came into this as the number 2 seed. They were the favorites. Nebraska, not necessarily. People weren't expecting them to do quite so well, and you guys both saw that draft. You guys both predicted it, and I mean, let's take a look at draft number 3. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, Nebraska, again, is a team that did not have a match victory. They had won a couple games, and they were close, but they finished the season 0-6 in terms of match score. And I constantly question who's that #2 team behind Illinois. Again, you had Minnesota up there in the conversations. Obviously, Purdue was the team that landed in the slot. Northwestern as well was another team that was there, like in the mix. So there were a bunch of teams that were like sitting at 3-1 and had the opportunity. And so yes, Purdue ended up winning out, but they're showing here maybe if Parkilo doesn't get going, this might be a team that has some holes in it, and Nebraska did a fantastic job exploiting it. Something to note right off the bat, Purdue's like, yeah, we gave you the red side a couple times. Yeah, we're going to take the red side this time. Let's see how good your draft strategy is picking first. And this time, looks like it'll be the same bands coming out here, so you won't get the counter pick like Zyrene was talking about. It'll be up to Purdue to decide, hey, who do we give our counter pick to? You get one lane to counter pick from, but Purdue's the one that gets to pick it.
Slight shift up, bringing the Rise in the first banning phase here. Traditionally, he was held off for the second one there, so Nebraska opting to put a little bit more priority on that. The Oswald as well. And once again, these same 3 bans for Purdue, identifying these key champions for Nebraska, not letting them go over into the hands of Bye Bye or Spicy Champagne, but we're seeing a little bit of a switch. Morgana, first pick here. And again, very much in line, if this does go through, very much in line with a lot of the pro picks that we're seeing, often to look to get those supports in that very first pick. I wouldn't be surprised to see one coming out as well for Purdue.
Yeah, so again, a counter to Morgana is the Karma, just to constantly shoot out the inner flames, take down the Black Shield. But again, having the Black Shield for the side of Nebraska for Snow White Hime or Jujusher, whoever gets the Black Shield, is huge. It slows down the glacial, the glacial prison that can be thrown down by Blitzcrank. It also changes what the mid lane can play. If Parkilo is using the Zoe again, which we know Zoe, we saw the damage that was coming out. He just wasn't able to set it up. But now it completely removes these Sleepy Trouble bubbles, and it's just overall a very strong support right now in the meta. Nebraska gonna go back to it. Lee Sin for a 3rd game in the row of Spicy Champagne. We saw him play well. We saw him be not as effective in game 1, so which one are we going to see? That's the coin toss here for Nebraska.
I mean, I'm not saying it didn't work in game 1.
Ooh. Going to go with a Sivir here. Late game scaling from the AD carry role. Snow White Hime just going to continue to farm up, and again, gives you a lane to focus. You're able to shove pretty well and get priority down on the bottom side of the map. And Steel said, enough of these tanks for me. I'm going to play the carry on the top side of the map. So Aurelia going to get locked in here.
That was actually a question I was going to ask. It's like, are we going to see Steel flex into more of a carry champ?
It can be a mid lane Aurelia.
It could. It totally could. It totally could. But I think it's interesting. The one piece of consistency between all 3 games have been the junglers. We've seen Lee Sin and Sejuani in both games from both of these teams. Jungle's not the problem, they're saying. They want to say keep those players on champs they're comfortable with.
Right, and I'm waiting to see here, will we see a Kale? Will we see an Urgot? Hecarim, we've identified these champions in 9.6 that Zyrene and myself believe that are very strong, and they've gone unpicked and unbanned. Here's a good opportunity to pick that out. Purdue's trying to get a little shifty here with the Aurelia. Like, could it go top? Could it go mid? With the flex pick, that allows you to counter pick here. And now we got more bans coming out. Nope, we don't want to see the Gnar picked up. Focusing in the mid lane, though. So, interesting thing here by Nebraska is saying, hey, look, we're not exactly sure if that's going to be a mid lane or top lane Aurelia, so we'll get rid of the Gnar because we don't want to pick into Gnar anyways.
Yeah, I mean, that was a bit of a rough first game there. Steel played that beautifully up there. And we are seeing the Vayne coming out. Vayne, the champ that Nebraska ran in game number 1, got a quadra kill for them, but just not enough to take the game in their favor. But one of these late game scaling champs who just rips if you let her get online, but so does Sivir.
Yeah, Sivir gets to that point. I want to talk about how Purdue has solidly drafted here, where now no matter what lanes you pick here for mid and top, you can flex that Aurelia around. So normally if you already know what you're going to pick and you know what that top laner is going to be, this first pick here or the second pick will counter at least one lane. However, in this case, you can just flop the Aurelia to the top lane, and what was a mid lane counter now gets switched on its head. Let's wait and see what happens here. Hovering the Kled. This was banned out last time. Kled going to get locked in.
And speaking of flexing things around, we expected this Morgana Morgana potentially going to be coming into the bottom lane. However, I wouldn't be surprised to see it actually pulled into the mid here this time around. Something we actually saw played in the LCS. Galio also traditionally has been played in the mid, so either one could go there, but we've been seeing more Galio supports. I have no idea.
Yeah, Purdue or Nebraska saying, we see your top and mid flex. We raise you a mid bot flex, and it will be a Renekton, so it might be, let's see, how are you playing this? Yeah, it's going to be a Renekton on the top side of the map. Steel finally getting the chance to pull that one out.
And it's also interesting because this is definitely a jab over at Bye Bye, who also plays a sick Renekton, so that's pretty cool. Zyrene, I got to get your input because this draft had some wild twists and turns.
Yeah, and we're ending up with two compositions that look like they're going to be primarily AD focused with very little AP damage on it. This Galio, I'm still waiting to see where this goes, because if this goes to the mid lane, I actually like it more because it means that this Morgana and this Sivir get to have a hard winning lane, whereas Sivir shoves Vayne in, and if you have a Galio support, you don't actually get to punish as hard, and the Vayne can free farm. So they just swapped it over. This is meaning that you have a better matchup in the mid lane, but a worse matchup bottom. So I think they could have pressured that bottom a little bit more here. So I don't like the swap, but I think that Morgana mid is actually very strong. So just from a champion standpoint as opposed to lane standpoint, I like this better, but I think the matchups could have been a little bit better for him. So I still feel like this is a coin toss. I think both teams got a lot of what they want.
Yeah, I would agree. This is pretty tough. And you mentioned before we got into this draft, who do you want to prioritize? Do you want to prioritize potentially the lowest elo player on your team or in the mid? So that's got to be the question here. I got to ask for predictions, and this is where it gets tough. I have to do it. They're making me do it. This is tough. I honestly don't know. I was incorrect in that last game, but I think I'm going to go with Purdue. Simply for the fact that I think not a lot of teams necessarily have a lot of experience playing with this mid Morgana yet, and with the Morgana Galio, if there's any shutdown there at all, Morgana's not going to be able to do anything. I'm going with Purdue.
I like the fact that you're mitigating that mid laner. Again, right? Parkulo, with you get to mitigate it with the Black Shield. I'm going to say the biggest upset in Big Ten Network history, the BTN Championship. Let's pick Nebraska.
I like to hear it, D-Gun. Zyrene, it means you're the last one left. Who you tie breaking?
I got to go back to the other side. I got to go back to Purdue.
Thank you.
So I think that Purdue, yeah, I think it's going to be 2-1 Purdue. I think the composition last game made me kind of lean towards Nebraska. This one, I don't think they have as much of a compositional advantage. Because remember that last game? Even though that comp was just destroying the other one, the gold was so close for so long. So if I don't have that advantage in terms of composition, I feel like there's going to be a starker difference in contrast in gold.
All right, well, you heard it there. Degon leaning in for the upset. He's feeling it. He thinks Nebraska can get it done. Let's get into game number 3 and see if that's going to be the case. Thank you all so much for joining us here. This is day 1 of the BTN Championship Tournament. We've seen 7 weeks of action between 14 teams across the Big Ten, and it all comes down to this. The winner will secure themselves a spot at the CLUL National Championship all the way through. Well, the other finalists will secure themselves a spot in play-ins. There's a lot on the line for these teams, D-Gon.
Yeah, all the way through indeed. And, I think we find ourselves at a game 3 that we did not expect. Nebraska listless during the regular season, 0-6. Purdue fought themselves through a packed crowd to be the number 2 seed against the bottom seed. And usually these matches are, done and dusted. It's just another walk in the park, not so fast. Nebraska pulling themselves a nice team composition. Spicy Champagne, 3rd game on Lee Sin, also 3rd game here for Blitzcrank. But we got to see him warm up and have some nice mechanics, get the right angles. And Bye Bye has been fantastic on whatever top laner they've put him on. And I'm going to like this matchup because it's very aggressive. Very aggressive. Oh, yeah. Kled versus Renekton. These are 2 guys that want to win lane. And Steele's done a good job absorbing pressure. Maybe not as good in that last game because he was 0-5-0 at some point. But in game 1, did a solid job, and you've touched on it earlier.
He was 0-7-1 at one point.
He's one of the stable guys on the team. And so for him to have a game like that and then bounce back and say, hey, give me something that I can play on, that takes a lot of confidence for this guy on the top side of the map. Gonna love watching this top lane matchup.
That to me is as much pick that comes out of frustration. Somebody frustrated that he couldn't make the plays, and he's like, no, I want to put myself in a position where I can go toe-to-toe with anybody. I was restricted, I'm on this tank. I couldn't do a whole lot. I didn't feel as impactful, as I wanted to be, and he's putting himself now in a position on this Renekton where he definitely can make an impact, slicing and dicing in these team fights. But it's going to have to Bye Bye to shut him down. Bye Bye, the star player of Nebraska.
Let's keep an eye on this lane. We also keep an eye on our junglers. Last game, much better start for Spicy Champagne and crew. Was able to out-jungle Blitzcrank, whereas beforehand, it just seemed like Nebraska's wasn't at the right place at the right time over and over again in Game 1. In Game 2, it was Spicy Champagne dictating the pace, especially after getting a couple kills, one in the top lane, one in mid, one in the bottom side of the map. And then it just gave them time to coast and continually be on the front foot. Interesting thing here on the bottom side of the map, Fredo and Rocky T-Sauce has to be aware of the engage possibility of Frosty Waffles on the Galio. Can use the flash taunt. That's going to be huge here. And Snow White Hime has had a solid game so far. You can see him go on in, not land anything, but that's going to be the game, the back and forth. As soon as Rocky T-Sauce uses his tumble, he's vulnerable to Frosty Waffles going on in with the taunt and then getting chunked down.
It's all about that Justice Punch, the Shield of Duran. If you can get that taunt off in time, locking him right on down. And we'll keep an eye on Frosty Waffles for that. Frosty Waffles certainly has to be one of my favorite names in the entirety of the Big Ten.
Oh, for sure. I'd put him up there with a couple of other players. We'll get to those guys later on in the day. But 1-1, again, you can't say enough about Nebraska fighting back in that last set and tying this thing up. And the more I'm thinking about it, the more I like Zyrene's point here of, hey, look, the gold lead was relatively equal until that final team fight broke out. So without a major team composition advantage, what can Nebraska do? Yeah, they're on champions that they feel comfortable on. They were able to get sneaky with their draft and pull out the Morgana and the Galio shift, but Purdue got what they wanted. You know, you got the counter pick on the top side of the map. You got Parky Low on a playmaker in the Aurelia, and Rocky T-Sauce, again, a guy that can carry on a late game scaling vein.
Yeah, this vein is going to be oh so scary the later this goes on. And we'll keep an eye on Rocky T-Sauce for sure. But of course, for all of you watching at home, if you want to get involved, like we are seeing both of these players up at the top getting involved, you can submit some feedback here for us at esl.gg/BTN survey. Of course, a second ago to shout that out, we see instant action. But if you want to give us feedback on how we can improve the broadcast, tell us what you want to see, be sure to submit that survey.
Yeah, right there. Submit the survey. Let us know what you think. Right now, Blitzcrank finding out what Spicy Champagne thinks. He says, get out of my jungle. This is my jungle, and a good early lead by the Lee Sin. 25 CS to 18 CS. And now Spicy Champagne going to take a trip down to the bottom side of the map, see if he can find anything.
Yep, Fredo spotting this out. Rocky T-Sauce might be in a little bit of trouble.
Great condemn.
That condemn was absolutely massive. That shut him down. Spicy Champagne is saying this ain't over yet. Rocky T-Sauce taking a lot of damage, but the damage has been done, and that was Galio just not connecting.
Yeah, Frosty Waffle should have known that Rocky T-Sauce had it. He flashed a little too early, right? You know, and it just good play by Rocky T-Sauce, a bit of a misplay there by Frosty Waffles.
Also, I want it to be stated for the record that I think that is the biggest waste ever that his name is not Rocket Sauce.
Rocket Sauce, all right.
Seriously, so much more intimidating. Facing up Rocket Sauce, intimidating as if you're bye-bye right now, going up against Steel, who's already finding redemption from that last game. How good do you gotta feel if you're Steel right now?
Yeah, it feels great, and it's really bad here for Nebraska because your boy bye-bye in the top side of the map picked Ignite, not TP. And so Steel's able to win that without having Ignite, without the Summoner spell advantage, and without support from the jungler. Straight 1v1 on the top side. You need more out of bye-bye if there's going to be any chance for Nebraska to work themselves back in this one.
Yeah, there's a lot more work that's got to be done. We're seeing Snow White Hime going to try and do that in the bottom, try and get some of this turret plating to start things off here for them. You cannot understate the value of getting some of that early turret plating to get you towards a couple of those first items. However, we are seeing a TP coming on in from Steel. Everything's being popped. And this is also going to be the HP bars of Nebraska in shambles. Snow White Hime is up. All the flashes being committed to them into the wall, and that is going to be it. Solid kill there, but a lot burned for it.
Yeah, I think that was a little greedy there at the end for Snow White Hime. All the while in the mid lane, Parky Low took down the Juicer, so things looking terrible for Nebraska as we take a look at how this one's set up. I think if you're able to flash away early by Snow White Hime, just flash right here, you can't get condemned into the wall. The angle's not there. Double flash burned by the bot lane duo for Purdue, but it still results in the kill, and the TP play was successful.
Yes, nicely done there from them, and they're going to be able to turn this into some push of their own. We're seeing Frosty Waffles already getting poked out by Fredo down here in the bottom. So annoying landing up against his Karma.
Good job holding the wave to keep the wave closer on their side, but again, Purdue's able to go back, cash in, build Water Cutlass by to start. Not too bad for Snow White Hime. Was able to CS enough to get the BF sword to help out. Also Control Ward to prevent any other gank. But if you're Nebraska, you put some eggs in the top side of the map by giving Bye-Bye Ignite over TP, since there was no TP to join into that. Didn't work out. And also the Juicer. You're on something that's supposed to be safe. You can't be dying like that in a 1v1 scenario. You got to hold lane when the jungler's not there. Instead, dies. And we've seen Parkilo with the lead. He's able to snowball things out of control. You got to be aware of that if you're the Cornhuskers.
Parkilo in game number 2 on Zoe. So he's supposed to sit back, supposed to poke, supposed to set things up for the team. Aurelia is going to go in and shred. I'm not just talking about Steel here on this Renekton. You want to talk about slicing and dicing. Got some whirling knives looking to go off if you are Park Elo. This is a champ that he can do a lot of work on, and he's already ahead. 75 CS to 55 at this point, and he's already got a solo kill. If I'm Nebraska, I gotta be a little bit concerned.
Yeah, the saving grace right now is Spicy Champagne, just able to get vision down. He is ahead of the Sejuani, also level 6, but he needs to start alleviating pressure from the lanes. Every single lane now has a death in it. If they're going to get back in it, he needs to be the facilitator. They need to set it up right, and it looks like he's trying to do it on the top side of the map before Bye-Bye dies.
Bye-Bye trying to bait him on in. We do have the Lee Sin going to join in on the fray, but Steel's able to pick up the solo kill right there. Spicy Champagne trying to get some redemption for his teammate and not able to do so, and Steel held him up there a little bit longer, which allowed Blitzcrank to look to come right on in. Spicy Champagne's in a bit of a rough spot. Ward dashes himself on out and does survive.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. The flash was held for such a long time by Steel, so he did not, he had it up for this fight, even though he won a 1v1 earlier without blowing flash, was able to go to the bottom side without flash, and there just, again, not enough time bought by the Kled. Kled not dealing enough damage, neither is Spicy Champagne, even with the Dragon's Rage ult, able to get himself to safety, but man, things are looking dire right now for Nebraska early on.
Yeah, this is a bit of a rough spot there from them. It seems like all the momentum they built for themselves in game number 2 has been quashed here. And I think a lot of it had to come down to the points that you guys are making and just having this clear win in the draft. They had a draft they could execute in game number 2. It was go in, it was find picks, it was fight, it was play aggressive, and I just don't feel like they have quite as much of that here. They kind of went back to the same things that didn't work for themselves in game number 1.
Well, I think you're okay to do that in the top side of the map with Kled, but he fell behind so early. Bye-Bye losing that 1v1, I think that's the lane where you can equalize it up. That's the lane where you can dish out some damage and get yourself a kill. Instead, Spicy Champagne not having damage of his own, going with the Tiamat early. So again, it just not working out for them right now. The Juicer, you got maybe go back to Bye-Bye, but right now you're running out of options if you're the side of Spicy Champagne.
Yeah, you are. And you want to continue to put the pressure on. This is your job as the Lee Sin. Nice black shield there from the Juicer to dodge out that flawless duet. And he's able to push this in. I mean, the Morgana does have pretty decent wave clear, but you got to be able to do stuff with it. You got to find these rotations. You got to be able to assert some dominance, get some vision. And we're going to maybe see a bit of a pick starting off here up in the top. Nice chain CC going on through, but Steel is still surviving on through this. He's got so much damage with the HP bar of the Lee Sin. And now it is Bye-Bye up against Steel. What is now a 1v1. I think Bye-Bye is going to come out on top. He gets it done.
Yeah, but Spicy Champagne missed his resonating strike. It was so much damage that was lost there with the Sonic Wave resonating strike combo missed. We take a look at this one more time. Good ult, good setup here by Bye-Bye. You saw pings earlier by the side of Purdue realizing, hey look, top lane's missing, something's going on. But then watch right there, misses the Sonic Wave resonating strike. That's the damage that was needed to get the kill here. And look, the health bar of Steel right here is how much a Sonic Wave resonating strike would have done. Instead, another kill goes down. Big pickup there without a lot of resources expended by Steel. Then on the bottom side of the map, they had to give up control. They gave up the Drake, Ocean Drake heading over to the side of Purdue. And things are looking good here for the Boilermakers.
Parkilo also got another solo kill there onto the Juicer in the mid through all that as well. That was a symphony of skills, well, or maybe a cacophony of errors right there if you're the side of Nebraska, getting picked out across the board, setting up picks that they should have been able to get with ease, getting turned on their head by Purdue. Nice play from them, 6-1 now in terms of kills. Not the super dominant gold lead we saw from them, but they are able to get a lot of this early turret plating, able to continue to escalate this gold lead.
Spicy Champagne trying to get anything done right now, but Steel level 10, and Spicy Champagne spent so much time trying to equalize the lanes that he started to fall off of his gold lead here, but he is going to go in. They're going to try to get it. The Juicer does rotate first, so Blitzcrank will be in a little bit of trouble. We're not exactly sure who the eye went to. It will go to the side of Nebraska. Nice cue there to get the kill by Lee Sin, and everyone's having a party. Good rotation, and that's how you get back into the game if you're Nebraska. Have everyone show up and outnumber the other team.
That was exactly what they needed to do to bring themselves back on into this. They picked themselves up a couple of kills and a Rift Herald to boot. I want to see them drop that real quick here and continue to get some of this turret plating.
So Nebraska able to drop the Rift Herald on the bottom side of the map. It's going to be a race, but not even close for the first turret. Vayne won't be able to pick it up, and Nebraska getting themselves a gold lead to close the gap here and tie it up for just a little bit. I want to see someone from Nebraska to go down, answer the Vayne that's free farming right now. It seems like everyone has to go back, but Frosty Waffles getting a little too cute, trying to use the Justice Punch to get out, and he gets punched right in the face. Aurelia picking that one up, and that's the person that you don't want to get it. Parky Low, 3-0-0.
Staying just a little bit too long there. Nice series of events. Let's take a look back at that fight that set all of that up, though, D-Gon. Unless there's maybe going to be more kills going on through. We'll keep an eye on that little picture-in-picture down there, but this was the fight where it all went wrong.
Yeah, good engage by Spicy Champagne. I was like, hey, I don't think you win this 2v3. That's a level 10 Renekton. But then here comes the cavalry. You have the ult from Sivir to get everyone in place, and then you just turn around and shut down everyone. Good job by just outnumbering everybody by Nebraska and realizing, hey, look, we're not going to do well in lanes. We've got to do something else. We've got to find our gold lead and our footing by grouping up.
Nicely done there, and we're going to see this turret potentially fall here in just a second. The rotation coming on through, not quite able to get it done. However, we do have an update. The match of Michigan-Rutgers has actually started through all this. Zyrene is going to be giving us an update with how that match is going.
Yeah, we'll get into that one when that series has concluded. Of course, this is University of Michigan. We saw Michigan State earlier. Do not confuse them. They get very angry about that. But something else that might make them a little angry here is that match against Rutgers. They get flanked from behind. Julius has to use his cleanse, and then Orianna can't get much in this fight. And this ends up being a dive into the back line. Yeah, we saw Hecarim in this game, so D-Gon and I, that we're excited for that one later. But right here, Sweaty Toast, they aren't able to pick him up. He just barely gets away, gets some fruit at the end, and the flash forward from Cokes. He gets that kill, gets the double buff, so it's looking real bad for Michigan now.
Yeah, Michigan, one of those teams that solid. They were solid until they ran into the buzzsaw. That was Michigan State, losing the in-state rivalry. And I think Julius is the guy that has to set the stage for that team. So right now we're taking a look at a possible turret dive. The wave clear of Sivir so strong, and the turret still stays alive.
Yeah, she's able to clear those minions in an instant, pushing back the attempted pickup there for Purdue, but we are seeing Steel. Spicy Champagne there on the flank. Steel sensing something's up. His sixth sense is here. He knows something's wrong. He's not stepping too far forward. And Spicy Champagne's going to go on in right here. Bye-bye to start this off. Steel's going to be the target. Force pop the ult, the flash. Everything's going to be diving in underneath the turret. Spicy Champagne will chase it on down, but he's gone a little bit too far. The turret will get it done. Bye-bye. Please also don't kill yourself.
Oh, boy. And again, another 1v2 outplay by Steel, realizing something's up. Able to slice and dice himself to safety. Spicy Champagne, he's getting real aggressive right now. He knows that he has to be the one that dictates the pace. The bottom side of the map, they got to see multiple times Blitzcrank try to take the turret down there. So the logical thing is make a play on the top side. It just isn't clean enough, and you can imagine if they were able to get that clean, they could possibly take the turret and equalize the Drake trade. Instead, Purdue realizes, hey, jungler's gone, let's take this Drake, we're safe to do so. And Nebraska falling further and further behind the Boilermakers.
In a bit of a rough spot right here. Not the worst gold deficit ever, but Blitzcrank looking to start things off, finding Frosty Waffles in the jungle. It was gold to buy a little bit of time, but Blitzcrank and crew are still here. Maybe looking to try and set things up. The ult from Aurelia able to split this up, and a nice counter kill going in instantly on the flank. Snow White Hime is there, doing a lot of damage. Parky Low is just such a threat right now. Bye-bye is able to try and get himself back on him, but the Juicer's in the middle of everybody getting picked up as well. That is a triple kill going over the way for the Aurelia. Parky Low is going off.
Yeah, you focused the wrong target there. You're looking at the tanky jungler as we take a look at how all this happened again. This is the second time we've seen Frosty Waffles just get too cute on his exit. He tries to Justice Punch himself out, but when you Justice Punch, you have that little bit of a cockback. When you like wind up, bam, it runs right into the Sejuani instead of getting out. That's a decent taunt, but really you're just baiting your team to go in. Look how fast everyone starts to fall. Nice ult to try and mitigate some of the damage, but Parky Low goes untouched. His whole health bar safe the whole time, and there's no entryway for Snow White Hime. You want to, as a Sivir, have a tanky front line to allow you to throw your boomerang blades and get your ricochet bounces off, but you don't want to flank with the Sivir.
Yeah, you really don't. She was just not able to walk right on in through that, so not an optimal situation. Purdue getting a lot of value right there, but we have another update from Zyrene. How's it going in your match?
It's going great. At the last part that we just talked, it was Cokes got those kills, looking great. Well, we just discovered that this is not Coke Zero or Diet because he obviously has sugar in him. They are craving the CC. Boom! Enchanted Crystal Arrow right into the binding, right into the Hecarim ultimate. There is no way they didn't want to drink that up in just a second. Cokes goes down, they get that double kill bottom, and once again, we're looking at a pretty even game.
Feeling a little bit thirsty there and getting that pick. That wombo combo, oh so solid. That's what I like to see.
Well, let's not forget, they call it pop over there in the Midwest. So he went pop immediately after all the
We call it that too. Fun fact.
No, we call it soda.
All right. Well, not where I'm from. Anyway,
well,
pop goes your health
Canadian,
bar. Yes,
so.
that's very true.
Yeah.
And
right now, it looks like Bye Bye is about to go pop. Here comes Parky Low.
I mean, nice dodge there on the stun to start that off. He's going to try and charge himself right on out of there, but a lot of ults being committed for Aurelia as well as the Glacier Prison, and that's going to be all the CC in the world. Say bye-bye, good sir. Oh, no, the heal keeps him alive. The speed boost to get him on out of the rest of the team is able to get him.
Let's look at Morgana camera.
Yo, the Juicer, you're a beast. An absolute monster right now, going right on through. Everybody is so scared of this Morgana. That black shield, the most terrifying thing you have ever seen.
Yeah, Morgana using TP to make sure the top laner stays alive, but it does give up some of the pressure that they had. That's the only TP on the side for Nebraska in the mid lane. And now Frosty Waffles putting some pressure down on Rocky T-Sauce, but again, a little bit of action back and forth. No kills picked up overall. Again, Purdue's just looking for ways in, and Nebraska playing on the knife's edge on the bottom side of the map because the Morgana TP'd away. That's a free lane for Steel to continue to shove in. Now in the mid lane, again, Nebraska's getting played all around the map. This looks like the Nebraska from game 1, not the Nebraska from game 2.
This is Rocky T-Sauce feeling so much more comfortable in this game. The Caitlyn got shut down quite a bit early on. Not feeling so solid out of that laning phase, but this is a Vayne who's just been allowed to go off so far. And this is just a little bit scary for Nebraska. You're getting pushed in across the board, and you mentioned it's perfectly the difference between Nebraska we saw in game 1 versus Nebraska in game 2.
Yeah, and it's just unfortunate because you know that this team can, if they set up the team fights correctly, they've got guys that are mechanically good. I do think that Snow White Hime on something like Sivir, that's less mechanical than a Vayne or a Lucian, but can scale up well, can farm well, but right now falling a little bit further behind in the game as we take a look at the gold score, almost a 6,000 gold lead here for Purdue.
And this is much more in line with that first game, but we know that Nebraska can win some clutch team fights when push comes to shove. They can get it done. Purdue, if they do misstep, there's not so much of a lead. This is insurmountable for Nebraska at this point. They do have options to scale a little bit more into that late game, but I'm a little bit more concerned because the Lee Sin's going to fall off. The Morgana's going to offer good utility, and the Galio as well. You're going to have the hero's entrance to try and start things off in these fights, but I just look at the damage, the scaling that Purdue's going to have, and I don't know if Nebraska can deal with it.
Yeah, and they're not there yet. You see how this Nebraska team composition theoretically would work. You go in with the charge from Kled, you have Galio ult on top, Sivir pops her ultimate as well to get everyone in, the Morgana goes in with the black shield, uses Zonia's, and you create havoc there. But and Purdue has an opportunity here. Oh, he threw the ult backwards.
Bit of a misstep right there, and Purdue was trying to set up a fight, and they're in fact just getting kited right on through. Parky Low is going to commit everything to go right on in, find full coverage of the stun. But that is the taunt going on through. Oh, way over committal for Purdue. As this is now the cue for Nebraska to try and charge right on in. Blitzcrank's putting himself between the foe and the rest of his team. Want to be sure support stays alive, but this is a cue to take a Baron.
Yeah, that's a comedy of errors there. Blitzcrank ulting backwards. Parky Low not ulting anybody. It was a good bait by Snow White. He may use the spell shield to cancel it, but it didn't even hit. And now it's the Baron call. It's Baron time for Nebraska. Do they turn?
Spicy Champagne's taking so much damage to start this off and going right on through. Look at the damage. Bye is there, ripping through the flank, forcing the flash up from Blitzcrank as the key carries do fall. Parky low, Rocky T Saws, instant deletion. Now the rest of the crew wants to go back in. Look at the support simultaneously though. With split pushing going on. The Renekton is going on through, finds himself an inhib.
Yeah, Steel was realizing, hey, look, that was a bad engage. I'm not going to be any part of that, but I will cover up for our mistakes. Gets the inhib on the bottom side of the map. Nebraska needed to be more decisive in that situation as we take a look at how this all shook up. Again, Baron here, it was so slow. It was not the right call because you just could see how long it was taking. Nice flash taunt, but it only gets the Bane. That is a lot of the damage here the whole time, though. Renekton just taking turrets and saying, hey, look, just stop the backs. We'll get something off of this. And once we reset, we'll have control of the map yet again. Nebraska, good idea, not the greatest execution. That continually puts Purdue ahead.
Yeah, now this is Purdue able to pick up a Drake, able to pick up that inhib as well, putting Nebraska solidly on the back foot, despite the fact that Nebraska won a couple back-to-back team fights. They look so much better there, but not able to make it count, not able to put some real tangible impact onto the Rift right now. And Purdue is in such a good spot. The rallying cry of Nebraska in game number 2 is being drowned out here in game number 3.
Yeah, and so now with only one TP on the team, it's the Juicer. You can't really split push a Morgana against the Renekton. It's going to be very difficult for Nebraska to answer the split pushing power of the Renekton, and they'll be on the back foot, as well as the fact that the Juicer's TP is not up. Like, that's probably the biggest issue with the split push tactic that's coming out. And you can see spamming pings right now all over the Baron pit are Nebraska. They know that Purdue's doing it after they cleared it out, and look how fast it goes down with double Mountain Drake. It's like, hey, we can't contest this. We've got to get something for it. They're trying to engage on the bottom side of the map.
That Baron was just gone. Blink and you miss it. Super easy there from them. Steel also putting himself in a position where he's not going to get caught out from the rotation. This was just, I mean, Purdue just got that for free. What is Nebraska doing?
Yeah, Nebraska got caught with the pants down. You wanted to try and stay in engage range of the top side of the map for Baron. Instead, they got caught on recall timers. That allowed Purdue to just clear the vision, allow Steel to pressure down the bottom side of the map, and Baron gets taken. And it's just a good, decisive play by Purdue, and it's the antithesis right now of Nebraska. They're getting stuck in between calls, and this might have been the one that cost them because the Baron power play here just seems very potent for Purdue.
It's a lot easier to make calls when you're ahead, and it's much tougher to do so when you are behind, and I feel like that's what the position Nebraska's put themselves in right now. They're just not quite sure how to answer. This is a pop quiz, and so far Nebraska, well, they're just looking to pass.
Yeah, and Kled had to go to the bottom side of the map to clear out minions. That allows Steel to go to the mid lane, get the Demolish proc down, and get a decent engage here on Steel, but now they have 2 members committed to it. What's happening on the top side of the map after Steel gets himself caught out? Steel will be able to walk himself away, yeah.
Oh, no, I mean, the Kled's going to try and chase this down. We'll be able to do so. Nicely done. However, that is another inhib turret going to fall. Second inhib likely to drop here in just a second. A few more autos will get it done. Yes, they do. So this is Purdue finding another key map objective, pulling the lease in all the way to the back line. Nice jump from Spicy Champagne to get a couple kills on the back of this. But you see Parky low trying to survive with the Blade Surge, not able to do so. Fredo, the last man standing, the support lives, but Purdue got what they came for.
Yeah, they got the top lane inhib. I would call that a win for Purdue. The bottom inhib is already chunked, and in the mid lane, the turret is very, very low. It means it's just very straightforward here for Purdue as they recall, the timers come back up. Nebraska, what can they get from these kills? Not a lot as we take a look at how all this shook up. Started with Steel rotating to the mid lane and then doing a solid job buying time. He flashes away and gets one slice, no dice, but no issue because the rest of the team engages here. A little bit aggressive by the Sejuani to dive that far. Good Glacial Prison to slow Frosty Waffles from getting the taunt down. And then here, Parkulo just getting caught. Nice kick there by Spicy Champagne. We've been waiting for him to pop off, and he does do a decent job. Fredo able to return kill there on the Karma. And it's a 4-for-1, but you get the inhib on the top side of the map. It makes it a 1-lane game right now for Purdue as they continue to march forward towards the 2-1 victory.
Yeah, Purdue is looking to close this one out. They stumbled a bit in game number 2, but they're looking to rally in a big way here. And a lot of this comes down to the superior macro, having that split push ability, this Renekton from Steel, putting him not on a tank, but on someone he can carry with. Give him a big, scary Gator Boy and throw him on in. Let him just split push to his heart's content and force Nebraska to respond. The one who is setting the pace in this match has handedly been in the lead, and we are seeing that from Purdue time and again.
Yeah, props to Bye-Bye, though, for after dying a couple times at the top side of the map, bounce back 4-2-4, and then slowly stopping the bleeding in the mid lane is the Juicer. We saw him get solo killed twice as well, but now he's starting to stabilize and realizes his role. In that last game, he didn't dish out a ton of damage, but he was able to get his ult down, hold people in place, and cause some chaos. And that's when Purdue seems to have issue. When the team fight isn't on their terms, chaos reigns, and sometimes they get split up in split team fights.
They do indeed. I mean, they've managed to recover a little bit here. The bottom inhib has. Ooh, that was
almost landed on the vein there.
That would have been huge. Bindings, these are scary. If they connect, they can make your day real sad.
He does have a QSS, but that's not what you want a QSS.
That's not what you want to do. You don't want to use that.
You want a QSS the flash taunt from Galio. Not necessarily a slow-moving binding, as it looks like this turret will finally go down. Yes, it does. And so Nebraska has a question now. They've got to figure out when are they going to engage. Here we go.
Here we go. Parkylo's going on in. The Collide is there on the flank. Frodo forced to flash himself out, but Parkylo, look at all the carry potential going on through, splitting this fight up beautifully. Did you see the double multiple man stun? The Juice, though, doing a whole lot of return damage. That is a ton of damage going through Purdue. As we see the Galio coming on through as well, trying to secure these kills, flashes forward, definitely the Nexus turrets, but that's going to be all she wrote. The team has just got too much HP to work with and too much damage. Diving in here, no minions, no problem. That's likely going to be it the second these minions come right on through. They've got to pick up a couple of inhibs, but I think that will be it, assuming somebody doesn't die like a silly person at this point to this Nexus turret. And no, that's going to be it. That's going to be GG. Purdue come out on top. Nebraska not quite able to get it done. That's GG.
Yeah, hard-fought game here by the Boilermakers. Both teams putting their best foot forward here, and I think Purdue had to work for it a little bit more than what we thought and what they thought they would have to. But either way, a fantastic job by both these teams, and I think Nebraska can hang their hat on the season and be like, hey, look, they're proud of how they acquitted themselves to end, especially after going 0-6. They put up one heck of a fight of the number 2 seed in the western side of the bracket.
Really nicely done there from them. A solid draft in game number 2 that they executed beautifully. But we have so much action, D-Gon. We can't stop for even 1 second. Zyrene, there's another match going on. Update us with how it's going.
All right, before you guys get into that one, here's what you need to know about what's going on in the other one. It's actually really even right now. A team fight had just happened, and this was one where right now it was looking like the red team had the advantage for the longest time here. ShamWow, though, you know what a ShamWow do. It cleans up. The Vladimir is going to come into the back line here. Sure, he's going to be a little bit delayed here by the Galio, but this Vladimir is just going to destroy the tail end of this fight. They're trying to keep him out. They find when he goes down to the south that maybe they can find a way into this fight. He goes down. Everybody comes back. Cokes, Rem, they feel as though they can get Julius on the backside. They get these kills, but then it's just the Vladimir and 2 people, and they are still scared of him. The flash away, the 1 for 1 remaining, and that's where we're at right now. But I got to say, Vladimir's going to outscale that Lucian. So right now, ShamWow is the person to watch going into this match.
That's right. Michigan doing a solid job fighting back after that one. Thank you so much, Zyrene, for that update. And a great fight there in that other match.
I mean, so great. In fact, the match ended shortly afterwards. We were going to jump into that, but apparently it already finished. So luckily, though, that's only game number 1. We're not done quite yet.
Who got the win? We don't know who won. Who won?
I didn't. We're going to find out when we get back after the break. Hold it in suspense. We don't know. We'll come back with game number 2 just after this.
the BTN League of Legends Championship Tournament.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got a pentakill. That was beautiful.
This weekend, streaming live on Caffeine, Twitch, and YouTube.
August 11th, the BTN Big 10K is back. Run with pride and show off your school spirit at Grant Park in Chicago. Then experience the ultimate post-race fan fest and tailgate party. Register right now at btnbig10k.com.
Your Wolverines, your network. BTN.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the BTN Championship Tournament. It has been an incredible day of action where we just saw our very first, well, actually our first two matches conclude in pretty stunning fashion. We saw there at the end, the end of that amazing game. We're clutching it out 2-1 Purdue and Nebraska. Nebraska's not quite able to get it done.
Yeah, Purdue just overall better macro, especially in that third game. I think they were a little shocked on how well Nebraska was able to team fight, and then bully once they had a gold lead. They made sure that didn't happen in that game and close things out, moving on as the second seed in the western side of the bracket.
Yeah, but not making it easy was Nebraska. Got to give them all the props in the world. We also saw some more matches result during that. So let's actually take a look at our updated bracket here in just a second. Want to remind everybody, of course, because teams played for all 7 weeks throughout the course of this, they were able to establish that seeding, but it all comes down to this final bracket, this final tournament format. So we'll take a look at this. So we're going to go instead to the format, remind everybody how it all works, break it all down. That's probably the best way. Explain how it works.
The BTN Championship Tournament was broken down into 2 phases. First, the 14 teams were split into 2 divisions representing the West and the East. Each division competed in a single round-robin phase. Each match was a best of 3. Now, every team has come back together for the championships. The single elimination bracket is seeded based on the round-robin phase, with the top team from each division getting a first-round bye. The winner will seed directly to the CLL Championship, and the finalist getting a play-in spot, where they will have a chance to cement their legacy among collegiate League of Legends greats.
Well, as you can see there, a lot of opportunities. You okay there, D-Gun?
I'm good.
You're good?
I'm good.
Lots of opportunities to teams to progress all the way through to the CLL National Championships. We had our first couple of games resolved, but we have another one ongoing because the action does not stop. Let's start with our next matchup here. It is, of course, going to be Michigan going up against Rutgers.
Yeah, let's take a look at that Rutgers lineup. They're full with Grandmaster and Diamond players. Have an opportunity here to get themselves a win. I think it's going to be on the back of Cokes, their 80 carry. Rem, a solid mid laner. Best Kennen NA. It's the weirdest name because he's playing jungle. So Jungle Kennen, I don't know about that. And this is my favorite name in the whole league. Sweaty Toast down there at support.
That's definitely, the name just makes me slightly uncomfortable. And I feel like that's the whole idea. Just the idea of Sweaty Toast. I don't know why. I don't know. He's a good player, though.
Let's get to that Michigan roster, shall we? Michigan, the team that, again, had high hopes going into the season, did well early on until they ran into the buzzsaw that was Michigan State. Then they dropped another game to Ohio State. Julius is the one that sets the tone for them in the mid lane. Not only is he a leader for this squad, but also for a lot of collegiate League of Legends. He gives back to the community. So I think if they're going to have success, it's going to be on the back of Julius in the mid lane and ShamWow on the top side of the map.
I would agree. We put a lot of pressure on Julius, and when he delivers, this team does incredibly well. Game number 1 has already concluded. We have Zyrene standing by. He's going to be giving us the update on how game number 1 went down.
You guys pretty much described what you would expect, where the mid laner, Julius, has a lot to say in the game. He kept them in it. ShamWow on the top side, though, on the Vladimir, he started off 0, 2, and 0. He was just getting decimated in the game by an on-hit Nico build in top lane, and then he was able to kill Lucian by himself, able to just get back into the game, and then he had a bunch of team fights where he became completely untouchable in the later parts of the fight. And when I was covering that team fight that had gone down, they ended the game in that time when it was even in gold because they were able to get a Baron right after that team fight with the Vladimir, push top, and then get that win. So it was pretty much they got to that scaling point, and then they just tipped it over and said the game is theirs.
So Michigan taking game number 1. Solid play from them off the back of that Vladimir. Well, we've seen the power of when he put carries in the top lane. Things can get a little bit scary. We saw it in that last set, and it's true here with Michigan Rutgers.
Yeah, and again, ShamWow, a guy that can do that. And Julius isn't afraid of playing the types of champions that are supportive mid laners. He doesn't play the hard carry ones he plays. He likes to play an Orianna that sets up an area effect. He likes to play a Ryze area effect type of guy. So we'll get to see if he's able to enable the rest of his team to victory.
We'll see if they're going to be able to get it done as we get into the draft for game number 2. And I want to see some more priority looking to, I didn't get a chance to see the draft from game number 1, but from what I heard briefly in the course of that break, I want to see some priority put into, that champ right there.
Oh, Vlad is gone. Yeah,
there it is.
Remove it. We always talk about it with teams, and we didn't get to see it in Series 1 where you have the knee-jerk reaction bans. You have something that just overpowered a game, and it feels really bad that happened. And in this case, Rutgers did a great job shutting down the Vladimir early on, putting him behind, and instead, Vladimir was still able to creep back up and get himself a victory. That's a testament to ShamWow, the champion itself. So you just get rid of that right now. Opposite side, Zach removed early from Best Ken and NA. Don't like those long-range engages. You don't like the fact that he can kidnap people later on with his Let's Bounce ultimate, so you get rid of that. Julius not going to have his hands on the LeBlanc. LeBlanc had some changes, was nerfed in this patch, but still not going to even try to play into that. Rem won't. Silas removed against Michigan. Michigan bans the Talia and the Zillion. So Zillion removed as well. You're seeing a little bit more Zillion in the meta. First pick, though, going to be the Morgana. Morgana, again, just shooting up the charts in terms of importance at support. Morgana, Braum, those are the two main ones that get picked up right away.
But in response, we're potentially seeing an Urgot being picked up. Here we are, so receiving some buffs in this latest patch. The Urgot is back in force. We'll see. He hasn't made an appearance in any of our earlier games. We'll see how Michigan's going to be able to play him here up. You know, it's Morgana, who we've now seen flexed in the mid. We've traditionally seen support. Also seen the Kazakhs coming on through, so aggressive jungler coming up from Miyu, who we know plays aggressive junglers.
Right, Miyu likes to get in the other jungler's face and try to dominate, and that's been the one of the issues with that team, right? They either win through him or lose through him. So again, they're going to put their eggs in his basket. Surprising that they didn't even wait a little bit to pick the jungler, because Urgot has been said to be stronger in the jungle. It's buffs to some of the damage, but nerfs to the durability. And one of the biggest reasons why Riot made that change to him in the 9.6 patch was to create top lane diversity. You can't just have Urgot in there and just be tanky the whole time and get out. So instead, they will still use him in the top side of the map. We'll get to keep an eye on that. However, locking in is a Scion, which will just go straight tanky up on the top side, and an Echo to make some plays against Julius's Rise.
One of the big differences with this draft is the fact that we're not seeing, you kind of touched on it, we're not seeing any flex picks here. Like, we know this Morgana is going to be support. We know the Echo is going to be a mid. We know the Scion's going to be top. And same with the opposing team here for Michigan. They're not really leaving things sort of out in the open. This is very clear how things are going, yet maybe not if you're the side of Michigan, also banning out this Orianna.
Yeah, just making sure that's not an Echo jungle, or it could be Scion mid, it could be Scion support. We've seen that as well, and it could be Morg mid. So Rutgers has like some tricky flex things, but nothing that you could really flex. If they do that, it would be very exciting.
Yep.
Surprising that they're waiting on AD carry a little bit later. Again, not a lot of changes to the AD carry pool. That's something wrong with our graphic. The ban is actually Galio. That's Galio that's taken away.
Yep.
Not second Vladimir. There it is. Fixed.
Really, they just really didn't want the Vladimir, okay? That's really what's going on there. And you're right. We could see some cheeky flex picks coming on through. I mean, clearly, Michigan's leaning towards Best Ken and NA playing this Echo in the jungle, because they're looking towards multiple mid bans coming out here with the Ahri and the Orianna. So I might be proven wrong. It might be Rutgers pulling this out. We have seen Echo flexed in the jungle. It's not unheard of by any means.
Yeah, again, nothing that's too weird here. So again, Echo can be there. So expecting a mid lane pick is Michigan. That's just the research that these teams have done. And Michigan is a team that has high hopes, high aspirations, and going into the season and throughout the season, they've continually done their homework on teams. And I like the fact that, yes, Rutgers is a lower rated team. They haven't had a lot of success so far this season. They're coming in as the 6th seed, but Michigan isn't looking past them. They did their research on him, saying, hey, look, we know that Rem doesn't play Echo, but we've seen Best Ken and NA play a lot of Echo. Let's just put those two together, ban out some of those mid laners that Rem still feels comfortable on. And we're several mid laners deep now in terms of mid lane bans. So I would say the Vlad, LeBlanc, Silas, Galio, Ahri, Orianna, and even Zillion. That's 7 bans right there in the mid lane, and Julius was able to pick his in the first phase, so he feels comfortable on his role. And it looks like it will be an Aurelia in the mid lane, so Rem going to play in the face of this Rise, and we got to see what good Aurelias look like so far.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see some changes up there at the end for Rutgers, but yeah, we've seen some scary good Aurelia so far. 100% win rate on stream. for us so far today. So that's got to mean something as we are seeing the Alistair locked in. Sivir Alistair dual lane. That's going to be annoying to deal with.
Yeah, and you want to scale up with the Kai'Sa, but you also don't mind playing the scaling game if you're Sivir. So I'm expecting to see very aggressive ultimates here with the Killer Instinct by Kai'Sa and Coax. He was the one that had the lead last game in getting further ahead. Zyrene, what do you think?
I feel like Rutgers in this game, he has a lead, like you said, in the last one for Coax, and he's a really good player. The Black Shield's going to enable him very heavily. I'm just mostly worried about the fact that this jungle and this mid matchup highly favors Michigan, so you can just have your Kha'Zix play to the top side with the Urgot, which has more damage than the Scion, or have him play towards the mid where there's a lot of CC and assistance, as opposed to the Echo, who has to really predict and kind of telegraph his gank. So I give that early top side of the map to Michigan, and I expect them to do a lot with it. If they don't do a lot with it, Coax is going to turn online, Suetos is going to give him the Black Shield, and it's going to be very hard to control him in fights.
Where do you think Michigan might struggle against this Rutgers roster? Because, like you said, it seems like it's a little bit easier to execute here for Michigan.
Yeah, I feel like they have to watch out for the picks. They have to really watch out for the Aurelia going in there and the Echo, and he's going to cause a lot of havoc potentially in the back line. So Sivir's going to have to play really safe, and Alistar's probably going to have to peel instead of engage in the later fights because they're going to be coming to you, and I feel like you do have better wave clear, but at the same time, you have to make sure that your Sivir stays alive. You can't have her dying in those fights.
It's going to be absolutely key as we get into our second game here. We got to do predictions before we jump into it. I guess Michigan took game number 1. This is a fairly close draft, but I got to lean towards the team that's got momentum.
I'll go Rutgers here. I like the fact that their comp is. I like it. They're picking things that are hard to play. It must mean that they know something that we don't. Rutgers.
That's true.
Upset.
Zyrene.
I'm going to have to go with Michigan. I like the Urgot top, and I like that they have 2 kind of winning lanes for them early. And Aurelia is a little bit harder to play, especially against the Ryze, because she doesn't block magic damage. So I feel like you have 2 winning lanes and a winning jungle, so I expect them to do more with it.
All right, you heard it here from us. Once again, a bit of a split desk, but that always makes it more interesting. Let's get into our game. The action is already underway. Game number 2, Michigan-Rutgers. Let's get things going.
So again, 1 win away for Michigan to move on to the next round. Rutgers, their season hanging in the balance of this match. And again, Zyrene touched on it, a little bit harder of a team composition to play, but I think it's aggressive. You have the go button on the top side of the map for Scion to initiate the fight. It's very telegraphed. You got the Scion that moves slowly. You have the Echo, whose jungle paths are relatively, you don't get as much burst down as you do as the Kha'Zix. And then Aurelia is the one that gets to bounce around and whatnot compared to Ryze a little bit slower. But hey, look at this start right here. Caught sleeping on the top side of the map is the Urgot. He got less tanky in this patch, but even old tanky Urgot didn't matter. Binding, landing, everyone joining in, and everybody getting a piece of that gold.
Blink and you missed it. That is first blood already going the way of Rutgers. Oftentimes we see teams drawing this line of scrimmage, sitting back, not really wanting to play aggressive. It seems like Rutgers missed that memo because they just decided to go all in, find themselves up a pick in the Tribe Rush, start things off exactly the way they want to. It's a 500 goal lead for them to start off the game. Doesn't get any better than that. Let's watch this one more time.
Yeah, just basic, weird invade. You don't normally see an invade on the top side of the map, and I think that's what Urgot's thinking here. And then all of a sudden, you see the parallel convergence come in, and that's you're like, what's happening? And instead, he falls early, and early gold heading to the side of Rutgers before minions even spawn.
Nicely done for them. That's exactly how they want to start this off. Start to shut down a bit of the confidence that Michigan built for themselves in game number 1. And I wanted to break down some of these lane matchups a little bit more because Irene touched on them before we got into the game here. We talked about having the idea of this favorable jungle matchup, particularly the Kha'Zix and the Echo. Kha'Zix, of course, one of these champs who's going to want to go in, be aggressive, and set the pace. How is Echo going to struggle with that?
Yeah, Echo just doesn't have as much damage up front. You don't win that 1v1 unless you get the stun down with the parallel convergence. You get the shield down, but Kha'Zix can very easily jump away from that if that happens. Like you have leap as an ability at level 3, and you're able to get yourself out of those very telegraphed stuns. And so it becomes difficult for Best Ken and NA to do the burst damage, and he also doesn't do it until he gets himself some items. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as we see Rem go in for a minion and lose about half his health. And this is a difficult matchup to start for the Aurelia. Just has to sustain through against Julius's Ryze, who can just hold him in place and punish down with his skill set. And Ryze having all the different combinations with Overload, Spell Flux, and Rune Prison, and just a champion that is solid within lanes. Aurelia, again, will struggle to get close, get held in place by Rune Prison, and I think it's interesting that that's the draft that Rutgers went with here with the Aurelia.
Especially because Rise is such a staple pick for Julius. It's one of the champs that he's known for. So this is interesting to me that, you know, she's going to struggle a little bit in this early lane matchup. I guess they're sort of waiting and relying on the fact that, you know, once you get to the mid-late game, Rem's going to be able to find himself some kills, find himself some items, and get himself online, because especially to start things off, Julius is just going to have a heyday in the mid.
Yeah, and with that pressure that he's able to put down, he's also playing a champion that is great at roaming to another map. When he uses Realm Warp, it's like a TP to get to a numbers advantage on the bot lane or the top side of the map, and that's something that Rem's not going to be able to answer just innately, as well as the fact is, as the game goes on later and later, you got double TP here. You got TP on the top side and TP on the bottom side from Michigan. So they're going to want to make plays on other sides of the map. And the only lane that has a lot of aggression in the mid lane with Rem, well, he's in a losing matchup.
Exactly. So that's definitely going to impact how these rotations play out. One of these lanes have to get lane priority, find the rotation. We'll be keeping an eye on the junglers. Echo sitting up top, maybe looking to get a bit of pressure onto ShamWow, playing that, of course, now buffed Urgot. Just a reminder to everybody who might be joining us, we are, of course, playing on 9.6, so the new updates have gone on through, which means that ShamWow is playing on a champ who's feeling just a little bit better.
Yeah. Again, more damage. You got New Conqueror, which just continually gives you a lot of health as a keystone. Another change to get champion variety on the top side of the map, so we're just not living in the world of tanks, and it just has put him in a great spot. Now Rem in a little bit of trouble, forced to flash away, so flash for flash. Julia's getting aggressive onto the mid laner of Rutgers, but it's for naught. One big difference though, TP for Julius means he's going to get back into lane, control the wave. Rem's going to have to walk back up and lose lane control.
Yes, indeed, though. Julius actually burned his TP through all that as well. We are seeing a gank potential coming down in the bottom. And Cokes not able to pick that up there. The rotation came through, but just not able to execute, pulling on back as Michigan. We should see flash burn from Tipty, so that was a nice little play from them, able to burn out the sums that they wanted, but not able to find the kill. That's what they were really looking for.
Yeah, they were, and you saw the first gank attempt here on the bottom side of the map for Sweaty Toast and Cokes and Best Ken and NA. Well played by Tipty to step in front, use the spell shield, and just calmly get himself out. Had to burn the flash, but either way, a gank attempt failed here. And Rutgers wants to try to accelerate this lead. They were gifted an early kill.
Yep.
What have you done with it? Right now, it hasn't been too much.
It has indeed, and it's one of those situations, if you're Rutgers, you got to try and continue to propel that even further here. I mean, they are starting to pull ahead a little bit in terms of gold, but I'm looking at the CS, it's still been fairly even, and in fact, an advantage in most of these lanes here for the side of Michigan. So good job for them to stabilize, not let that early kill get into their head too much here. Though really, I need to see how these junglers continue to play out. That's my big X factor in this game. It's the question of Best Kennen NA. Not only is he not playing Kennen, but he's playing this Echo, one of these champions who can do so much work if they're allowed to play their own game.
Right, but they've got to get to the point to scaling, and they're getting that opportunity right now. You take a look at the gold. It's a 600 gold lead, 700 gold lead going back and forth right now, mainly through the bot lane. And that was the gank that Kennen was able to enable the bottom side of the map and get him ahead. Now Rem has to get himself going a little bit here. It's been a struggle so far. Will he be able to get things rolling?
That is, of course, the big question. But, I mean, I'm looking towards the bottom, and Tipty's just been having a pretty good time, all things considered, up against this Kaiser, who's not been able to really put up any pressure here at all. And, I mean, yeah, we're seeing a pretty much identical in terms of CS, and I'm also looking towards that Alistair there as well, as they are I'm looking for an aggressive invade here, trying to help out this Kha'Zix to maybe pick something up there. Up in the top, the battle of the big boys as Sion and Urgot are going toe-to-toe. This isn't necessarily a lane that the Sion is going to win by any stretch, but it's also not one that you should necessarily lose. You're just going to sit there and wave clear all day.
Yeah, and as long as you're continuing wave clear, you just get to continue to scale. And that's not a big issue here. Both teams feel comfortable with their scaling options. It's going to come down to mechanics if it was equal. But there's a lot of league to play, a lot of lanes to go through here if you're Miu and Best Ken and NA. We still have to see who's going to take control of this bottom river. Not a lot of wards up, not a lot of wards placed yet. No warding items for both supports. So either way, it'll just be a little bit more blind here, and that's where you see a lot of these early kills and early deaths in competitive play. They put the vision up, and now they just have to guess, do the guesswork. Where are they? Where could they possibly be? As you see now on the bottom side of the map, Echo trying to get in.
They're going on through. Sweaty Toes flashing forward to start this off, but no, just walking away is Michigan. Completely unscathed right there. That was a huge committal of resources. Sweaty Toes burning the flash to start that off, but not connecting. Did he miss the binding? Actually missed that, D-Gon.
Nah, Tipty, great reactions with the spell shield. Able to spell shield it out even with the flash, right? So you're basically giving yourself less than a quarter of a second to get the spell shield off. Great play by Tipty to read that one, recognize something was going on. No death there. On the opposite side, on the top side of the map, Miu and ShamWow put the pressure on Andes. Andes forced to flash away, ult backwards back to base. He stays safe, TP's back up so he doesn't miss the wave, and that allows Rutgers to get the Drake. So good plays by the junglers, didn't pay off because it was great counter plays by those that were getting ganked.
Questions and answers from both teams. What an even game. Moments of passivity counterplayed by moments of aggression. I love it. But now ShamWow is going to have the TP advantage up in this top side, which is going to open up some potential for Michigan to make something happen elsewhere on the map. We'll keep an eye on that. As you mentioned, forced to use the ult was Andes, get himself back there and TP to the lane. So this is time that Urgot is going to have to play on the map.
Yeah, Urgot needs to make a play. He does have the TP, and they can be patient, right? Julius has TP as well. They could wait until Julius's TP's up because that's still about a good minute and a half ahead of Andes's TP. And you can have yourself a 5v3, 5v2 in a certain lane and break down the turret before the turret plating gold goes away. So again, just an advantage here based off of summoner spells. If you're bringing Ignite like Rem did, you've got to bring aggression in the lane. Now he's getting to a point where he can do so. He has himself the Phage, he has himself the Merc Treads, which slows down the Rune Prison Snare, so it's not as long, but it's still difficult to try and work through and play through while Rise continues to scale up his tier of the Goddess.
Yeah, he's going to continue to play around that. And, man, I'm just a little bit nervous. I mean, I know Rutgers is technically ahead in terms of gold right now, but there's so much danger in terms of the scaling that Michigan's going to be able to offer here. And Rem, as you mentioned, he's going to be another big X factor as this game progresses. But the Sivir, the amount of wave clear that's going to be available on the side of Michigan as well. I think a lot of this maybe is going to come down to the split pushing here, the macro. As we are looking up towards this top side of the map, multiple members are trying to rotate on through this Rise, taking advantage of that lane priority, maybe trying to make something happen, potentially diving underneath the turret, or just setting up some vision.
They pinged, hey look, Rise is missing probably top, and you can see ShamWow doing a great job holding the wave right in front of the turret until they're ready to dive. And again, this Urgot isn't as tanky, and good play here by Andes to just sniff it out. Realm Warp doesn't get anything there, and Andes just walks himself to safety, ult down, so the pressure is relieved, but at what cost? They get a couple of turret plates, so that is some gold back, but they're not going to get the turret here. What can Echo do now, knowing that, hey, look, there's 3 people on the top side of the map. We need to make something happen.
Yeah, Rise missed one minion wave in mid, but that was about it right there. Not the end of the world. Nice dodge there, though. Got to give all the props in the world to Andes to sniff out that ult from the Rise going on through. And this is an opportunity for them to start to get some additional pressure on the map. Echo found great value in the opposing team's jungle, able to snipe out a ton of that, but this is leaving Kha'Zix open to take that Rift Herald.
Yeah, and again, it's the value that you're getting in the mid lane from Julius on Rise. Just lane pressure, has priority in the lane, can shove it in. Will miss a little bit Morzius because Rem did get back on in there and shove in as fast as he could, but Julius is able to answer. Miu able to pick this one up and get himself the Rift Herald. Andes is going to be annoying, but Miu will be able to hop to the back of the pit. But here comes Rem. Rem trying to get himself the stun down. The duet not going to land. And just, again, out-macroing here is Michigan. Since the first death that went over to the top side on ShamWow, Michigan's been a little bit more impressive. The big difference, though, is the CS on the bottom side of the map. Kaisa taking it to Tipty, and Tipty has been doing a good job taking pressure, but the gold lead now in the favor of Rutgers still.
Yeah, this has been a very quiet bottom side of the map. Both
it's a quiet game in general.
Quiet game, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've had seen some. I think the problem is not necessarily that it's their fault. It's just there have been, again, moves and counter moves. There have been attempted ganks that just haven't been successful. This could be a 6 or 7 kill game at this point if every single one of these ganks have been successful. But I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that, look, Tipty, you know, Cokes, They just want to farm. They just want to sit on back. They want to CS all day long to their heart's content. They want to get a couple items under their belts and then go to war. They want to start things off a little bit slower, get to the point where they're more comfortable and the carries can carry. And it seems like there's been some sort of gentleman's agreement on both sides. Like, yeah, we'll just sit back. We'll just chill. Echo might try and come in and disrupt things, but, you know, we're just going to relax.
Yeah, basically. And again, Tipty's done a solid job getting some clutch spell shields at the last second. Sweaty Toast did a good job putting pressure, and Tipty with great reactions. But really, both teams just playing a little bit cautious, knowing, hey, look, we lose this, we're out, is Rutgers thinking. And Michigan's like, hey, look, we like our scaling with our team composition. We're fine with picking out the right fight that we want.
And I can't say that I blame them, too, because Michigan, they have a lot of experience on their side. They know that if this goes late, they're going to have the shot-calling potential, or the shot-calling ability, I should say, in order to continue to end the game, should they have to, or take the fights they want to take, set things up, play towards the objectives, look towards the macro. They do have the ability to set up those big macro plays as they progress. Urgot is always going to be such a threat, always going to be so annoying. We've seen the Rift Herald summon now in the mid, potentially opening up some space around this Drake pit.
Yeah, and it's not the best used Rift Herald. There are no minions there, but the pings immediately went down to the Drake pit saying, hey, look, this isn't to take the turret, this is to take control of the Dragon Pit, and it doesn't look like Rutgers wants to give that up so easily.
No, they do not. They've got vision of this. So they're not going to be walking into this totally blind. Michigan, though, doing a lot of damage to start things off. Maybe looking to try and go on in and snipe this. No, Kha'Zix is able to win this might fight, able to get that done. And now Sweaty Toast potentially going a little bit too far forward as Tipty is trying to run this on through. The Black Shield is there a little bit farther forward. Nice flash, full committal from Essence. Can he get this done? He might have stepped a little bit too far forward. Heal being popped from Tipty to keep him up, keep him fast and limber. And that's just going to be an easy Drake. No kills for either side.
Yeah, Sweaty Toast has to flash away because the Black Shield was ending. Coke's able to use Killer Instinct to get himself to safety. So after all that, Paul, they just walk back to lanes and agree they resume their gentleman's agreement that you were talking about earlier.
We're just going to lane. Oh yes, sir. We're just going to continue on finding these, CSing the minions, as it were. Yes.
I'm fine. Staying on my side of the lane, I'll shove it to you, and then you shove it back, and
perfect.
No one will know any better. We'll all get rich together.
That's exactly it. I love this. Clearly, the economics lessons from both teams have come into effect right here. I need to check some majors right now because I feel like a serious return on investment in the passive laning stage from both sides. 15 minutes in and only one kill.
Only one kill and no turrets down. A little bit of chip damage in the mid lane because the Rift Herald has been summoned, but you've got good wave clear by all members of the team. On the top side, not as great, and that's why we've seen both laners kind of be closer to Andez's turret. But since then, guys just kind of farming up and saying, hey, look, we'll wait till the next objective pops. I'm expecting to see Miyu get a little bit more aggressive right now. He hasn't done too much so far. He's just been farming up. I want to see this guy play Kha'Zix like the way we know Kha'Zix can be played. Surprising someone, bursting them down with Taste Their Fear, getting the additional isolated bonus damage, and then someone else comes and clean up.
I want Miyu to play Kha'Zix like he plays his Lee Sin, which is all in all the time. And I agree. We know the damage potential. They can set things up, but we're not seeing it right here. However, what we are seeing is Rem doing quite a bit of damage, dropping the ult as well. On to Julius, going to be the target, and that is going to be the kill. Miyu coming on in from the mid, but not able to find Rem off the back of this, as we do see the Echo, the battle of the jungles right now. Essence is there, but getting what they came for is Rutgers. That's two kills to 0.
Yeah, immediate engage there, finally breaking the deadlock. And Julius just getting a little too aggressive. Not exactly sure what he was thinking. Possibly thinking, hey, my jungler's nearby. If I get engaged on, we'll have the 2v1 advantage. But that's the power of Echo. You're able to close so much space so quickly. And Best Ken and NA, who had just recalled, comes back on the map and is able to get himself into position and get the damage down.
Really nice play there from them. The Rise just not able to get himself out. I mean, just pinned in place with that Aurelia ult, and we're seeing so much solid Aurelia play, knowing exactly how far you can push that champ. Really nice play there from Rutgers, capitalizing on a misstep from Michigan, just walking a little bit too far forward. Seeing a potential lane swap situation right now as the mid and ADC are coming onto the mid. Now they're just going to reset, just chilling there for a minute as they look to continue this pressure down towards the bottom.
Yeah, however, Michigan's responding with pressure on the top side of the map. They're going to put 4 members up there in that turret. Andez has done a great job holding that turret without dying, but it looks like he needs to leave. He needs to evacuate the turret right now because
totally fine.
There's a red storm coming, a scarlet storm coming, if you will.
Very nice. I mean, the Scion has done a great job. He's just been able to get himself off with the unstoppable onslaught when he needs to. However, yeah, this is 4 members rotating in. This might have been a bridge too far. He might have just stepped a little bit too far forward. Right now we're seeing Kha'Zix and crew looking to try and gank on in. Not able to find it, though, in a counter rotation coming in from Rutgers. It is Julius once again facing off against Rem, but this time underneath the turret. TP is being used to try and go right on through, and now we're seeing the Urgot appearing.
Yeah, Julius getting cut up. Here comes Best Ken and NA yet again on Julius. Julius goes down. Now ShamWow trying to dish out the damage onto Sweaty Toast. And there it is. Fear Beyond Death will land and gets the Fear down on 1, maybe 2. Best Ken and NA kind of stuck. Coax and the rest of the bot lane was not coming, and Urgot picks up a kill. All the while, the rest of Michigan is getting a whole ton on the top side of the map. And look at ShamWow just dishing out damage. Coax has to use the heal. He gets killed as well, and now look at everything on the top side of the map. Here we go. Rem now finally turning it around, getting the ult down on multiple members, and now chasing, trying to get Tifty, trying to get Essence. Nice stun, holds him in place. Now Tifty gets taken down. 2 kills, 3 kills heading over to Rem. So after a long waiting period, we finally get some action. 3 kills for Michigan, 2 for Rutgers.
Okay, we're gonna need to watch some replays to watch that back Degon. It all starts with this. The Rise into trouble underneath the turret, uses the ult to get himself out. However, the TP comes on in. The split second later, which means ShamWow's not with him. A slight mistiming on that, which means it's Julius up against the world right now, finds 2 members there. But this is when ShamWow goes absolutely clutch. Fear Beyond Death will start things off. Look to pick up this kill, pulls him right back in. Is then able to get the follow-up kill here as well. And he's also going to kill the Kaisa to boot. Basically a 3v1 situation. Simultaneously, his team is split pushing up a storm, but they split push too far.
Yeah, just a little bit too far here. I think it's good. You see how much aggression that the Urgot's getting. I'm sure the comms are like, go, go, go. You can do everything. You can do everything. Surprise, here comes Rem, who's the guy that was winning that lane in the mid lane, by the way. And he just turns it on. And unfortunate there for Tipty. He uses the spell shield, but he still gets stunned up and then chain stunned by the Scion. And he's not able to escape. And so overall, what could have been a huge turn for Michigan, still a good turn for Michigan. They're able to get multiple structures down and save the bottom turret. But now you're dealing with that 5-0 Rem in the mid lane. And we were saying earlier how difficult that lane was, the Aurelia into Rise early on. And now he's turned on, has multiple items. He's ready to go. You look on the opposite side, Julius only sitting on 1 completed item.
Yeah, a bit of a rough spot there. We mentioned that Michigan's sort of one of those teams that, you know, when Julius is doing well, they do well as a squad. And when he's not doing so hot, that's when they do tend to stumble. However, I got to give props. We're within 100 gold at the 20-minute mark for both of these teams. This is going to be another turret falling, opening up the map for Michigan, taking down that key mid-turret. That's so important, opening up the jungle of your opponent.
Yeah, and Echo's the kind of champion that wants to get into the jungle and take these weird flanking angles along with the Aurelia. You love to fight in the jungle when you put down Vanguard's edge. Now no one can really move around without the threat of a blade search reset. So again, good stuff here by the side of Rutgers that wants to pressure and take down that mid lane turret. They haven't had the opportunity to yet, though. When you look at Michigan, you've got, like, both people just want to fight. However, they know that, both teams want to fight. However, they know that they don't want to take the wrong fight here. So everyone's been really hesitant. If you're the Sivir, you want to make sure your Alistar's in front of you. You've got ShamWow in front of you on the Urgot. He has all the kills. He has all the gold. He's dishing out most of the damage. Julius there as well to hold people in place and dish out splash damage. So both teams are very afraid of the other team's damage.
Big question mark, though, is if Rutgers, if the Aurelia gets shut down, what do they have next? And now we're seeing the engage going, and this is my big question.
Julius, what? Question mark? Julius, that was you.
That was you.
That, right?
You went in on that. I was going to ask what happens if they get the kill onto Rem. I'm not sure that's going to happen. Rem is now 6-0-1, the 700 gold bounty on his head, taking an additional turret. This is Rutgers looking oh so solid coming back in this game. This is absolutely terrifying. Julius just debated his team to their death. Took a Realm War to the gray screen.
Yeah, they did. They are able to take some pressure down into the mid lane, though, but they're leaving that Aurelia on an island, and that means that Rutgers can continue to shove and continue to pressure, slow down, and possibly stop the backs, and another turret going the way of Rutgers, getting further and further ahead. Just 1,000 gold right now as both teams continue to play this one very slow, very cautiously.
Yeah, the split push from earlier is just so terrifying. She can just jump right on in with the Blaze Surge, just take down this creep wave so fast. Tipti as well, though, does have the ability to do that, but he's the difference. He's got to play safe. He's got to play with his team. They don't want to let this Sivir just wander alone on his own, and so far this combo with this Alistar is something we can see go in and find the initiation, the headbutt pulverize. We've seen none of that so far this game.
Yeah, and it's mainly because you got the Black Shield of Sweaty Toast. The Black Shield goes down, Alistar becomes very irrelevant. And I think that's why we've seen higher priority in champ selects recently in picks and bans phases with Morgana jumping on up. The other champion that has had high priority in the support role is Braum, but Braum as well gets countered by this Morgana. Black Shield, the immunity to negative effects and spells is just massive right now in the meta, and it's taken a toll in this game as well. Essence hasn't been able to have the impact on the game that he would like to as an Alistar. And Tipti, who's usually the benefactor of that, has had a quiet game.
Yeah, very quiet game so far. 0-1 and 0 for the bot of Michigan. This has been the talk all about ShamWow, all about Rem as well. Rem has been just so terrifying. We had question marks like, what's going to go in the mid? What's he going to play? They're banning out a bunch of stuff. We saw like 7 mid bans over the course of this game, targeting both Julius and Rem. And in the end, he finds this Aurelia and is doing so much work with it.
Yeah, after suffering in the mid lane, in the laning phase. That was just very difficult for him to just kind of sit, watch Julius have pressure, TP back to lane, get some ganks from Miyu, and over again, Rem just survived through it. Very much how like Tipti had to. So we have ourselves an engage ulti pop by Sivir. Zhonya's had to be popped early by Andes, buying time, but he goes in, gets a knock up onto Tipti. Tipti will use the spell shield, does get hit up though, and now Coax goes on in with the killer instinct, doesn't find himself a kill. Julius now on the back line, trying to keep his back line safe. Rem getting very low, does go down to the ignite, so Echo picking that one up with Alistar trading a kill back. So major carries now down, ShamWow and Rem.
Absolutely massive stun coming on. Oh no, walk back into the bush, Rise! That was not the place you wanted to be. So much HP on the side of Rutgers still available, as Michigan now has to get themselves right on out of there. Rem did go down though, that was huge. That was where the gold was, that was the bounty, that was the key member they needed to shut down. And look at the return damage going on through Rutgers. I may have spoken too soon. Michigan's been able to rally, able to go right on through. Cameo find, burns the flash for flash right now, trying to escape on through this. How did Michigan rally that fight?
I don't know. It looked like Julius kind of inted it too. He walked right on in. Nice steal attempt there by Coax. Let's take a look at that one more time. And again, it starts with Andes getting caught out. Tipti walking on in, getting the auto attacks off. The root there makes Andes panic. He has the Black Shield on him, but he panics and uses Zhonya's, and it doesn't get great timing. Coax doing the back line dive, as a lot of Kaisas love to do, and doing a solid job. But then Rem gets himself to the back line. Big stun line there, but he's too low. Great peel by Michigan. They did a great job going backwards. Then after this, you're like, okay, cool. Julius walks right into a binding, and you're like, well, what are you doing, Julius? But surprise, a boomerang blade does get Sweaty Toast. They're low enough, and it looks like, hey, look how healthy this Ken and NA is. But watch a second boomerang blade coming on in right there. Tipti doing a solid job, making everyone else feel like, hey, look, we can't win this. This Kha'Zix could possibly assassinate somebody. Miyu flashing forward, flash for flash, getting everybody out. And Michigan come on top, get themselves the second Infernal Drake. And that, again, look at this gold here at 27 minutes. Bang even, 2 Infernal Drakes. You'd love to be Michigan right now.
I mean, they came back. They were down almost 2,000 gold going into this, and now they were dead even in terms of gold. They got the bounty on the Aurelia. That was the key target they needed to get. That's why they continue to push on through. Julius, 4-3. Yeah, did maybe walk into his death there, but he set up Tipti to succeed. Pulling ahead in terms of CS, looking good in terms of gold right now. This is exactly where he wants to be. And now we look towards the map. We've seen, quite a few turrets already taken down, but there's some pass towards these inhib turrets for both sides. So split pushing is definitely going to be on the table for both of these teams. Keep an eye on Sham, WoW, and of course Rem. And I gotta say, one of the best things about that last fight was how, Andes maybe mistimed the Black Shield a little bit, but he did his job as the tank. He took so much damage to start off that fight. Yeah, Rutgers wasn't quite able to capitalize on it, but he still did a pretty solid job. He lived for so long.
Yeah, he did a good job there. What worries me, though, is your last point there. Rutgers' damage dealers weren't able to capitalize on it. You had Coax playing aggressive, getting to the back line. You had Rem getting to the back line. Best Ken and NA was not able to get the Echo stun down, the parallel convergence down on multiple targets. So it makes you a little worried about the future chances here for Rutgers, but because Tipti on the Sivir, as long as he's in the back line, has Ricochet, will be dishing out a ton of damage in those types of fights, and ShamWow is the most fed member. We already know how much more effective he is right now in these team fights than the Scion, who is just tanking up things. He's dishing out damage as ShamWow.
Yeah, we're going to see the Baron dance starting up here in just a bit. We saw so much in our last set, and I would expect that to continue in very true fashion. Both teams fighting to establish vision control. Nobody wants to give a free Baron at this stage in the game. It can pretty much spell disaster. Those Baron Empower minions with split push potential for either side could really make things difficult. Right now, we're seeing Rutgers looking to go in, set that up, start to control this vision game. They need to be careful because Michigan's on the hunt.
Michigan is indeed on the hunt, but Rem's waiting in one of those bushes, and you don't have Morgana nearby. Might be some trouble for you, as we now have the Baron dance starting up. It's this late in the game, that's right. Everyone sign up, do the do-si-do, the two-step. It's time for the Baron dance. 28-30 into the game, and both teams now spending a lot on vision, as we continue to see Kaisa trying to get something going, vision of possibly where the opposing team is. Parallel convergence going down, trying to see if there's engaged. Nothing doing, and both teams will just continue to play this game until one of them does the wrong step. We're doing exactly the do-si-do.
Yep.
Someone else is doing the foxtrot. Someone has to do the flamenco. Maybe a tango.
We went Latin. All right, I can dig it. I can dig it.
Yeah.
Going on through. No, I mean, it's the thing. You're not listening to the caller correctly, whether it be the caller literally square dancing or your shot caller, put one toe out of line. It does not matter. The first person to make a big mistake here is probably the team that's going to lose the entire game. Because if one team
bold statement.
Look, if one team wins a convincing team fight, I'm talking 4 or so kills. That could be the snowflake rolling down the hill that starts the avalanche, D-Gon. I'm just saying.
Yeah, if one team kills the other team's Nexus, that's a good way to win the game.
No, I'm saying whoever wins the
next
next fight will probably walk away with the whole thing. Because at this point, you know, this is it. If Rutgers loses this, they're out. You know, nerves have got to be playing a factor at this point. Michigan as well. They want to end it right here, right now. If one of these teams loses that momentum at all, that could be it.
Yeah, and so now focus shifting down to the bottom side of the map. The Drake is up, and it is the 3rd Infernal Drake. Rutgers does not want to give that over to Michigan, as now it looks like Best Ken and A getting aggressive onto Tipti.
Going on through onto Tipti, able to try and get himself out. Forced to use the ult to do so. Oh, but Essence not able to connect with the combo right there. Bit of a misstep, so able to trade out a little bit here. Michigan instantly looking to rotate through onto this Drake, but this, I was going to say might be a bit of a misstep, but they have so much damage at their disposal. Able to pick it up in an instant on the flank, though, coming on through there. Scion finding multiple members with a stun. That was absolutely huge, and now Rutgers goes right on in. Best Kenna taking a lot of damage to start this off. The Fear Beyond Death will go on in. Zergon is going to kill Tipti, surviving the backline. Let's keep everybody to stay alive, and Rem trying to chase him down with the Blade Surge. Can he do it? Trying to get himself out, the flash over the wall. That is so many members dead already for the side of Rutgers. Michigan in a great position, knocking him right back up, and that is everybody still alive, and this is caught out in a terrible position. Resurrecting just to go right back to the grave.
Yeah, and Rem missed his ultimate there. Vanguard's Edge hits nobody, and that is a lot of damage that you're now missing. Your top player in the clutch moment wasn't able to come through here for Rutgers, and it was very easy for Michigan to kite backwards, let Julius and Tipti dish out the damage, and a great Fear Beyond Death by ShamWow. Those are the 2 key plays that happened in that team fight. Kenan not able to get his Chrono Break off because he's feared beyond death, and Rem missing his Vanguard Edge. Cokes did his job, got aggressive, went in the front line. Endis went in, but everyone ignores him because he's 1-0-5, hasn't had a lot of impact, and you have a top laner on the opposite side that has so much damage. We take a look at this one more time. Keep your eyes on the Echo, and it all starts with this little, a very quick burn down of the Drake, and then again, Kenan wants to go in there and get the steal. Realizes it goes down too quickly, and here comes Cokes and the rest of the squad. Best Ken and NA, immediate burst, and then from just a weird angle, great job. Target selection by ShamWow, not letting the Echo to pop off in there. The flash forward by Rem, Vanguard edges nobody, and you need that damage. Blade Surge is your main damage dealer. When you get the Vanguard edge down, you're able to get the resets over and over again, and unfortunately, that didn't happen. Things go so well here for Michigan, and this long drawn out, patient waiting game. See who blinks first. This time it was Rutgers. Michigan taking control of the game.
They are indeed, and now they've got the Baron to boot, able to convert multiple objectives on that one. That was a really solid play. The Echo not able to get the chrono break off, not able to escape. I'm not sure if he still had it on cooldown for mid or if it was just a beautiful timing on that Fear Beyond Death. Either way, ShamWow has definitely been the star for Michigan in this game. And I also got to give props to the team of keeping Tipti alive as another fight is breaking out. Best Kennen NA is there. Keep pressing that R button as there we go. A lot of damage going through. However, does Rise instantly going to fall. ShamWow trying to dig right back deep into the midst of all his enemies right now. And we are seeing the, once again, instant deletion of our multiple members of Michigan are still here, still alive. They've got the health bars to work with. Nice little play there from Rutgers, catching out a few members of Michigan with the pants down.
Yeah, they're not done yet, though. Look at the push. Michigan continuing to shove. They do have Baron and Power minions. They had minions in the mid lane, and look at this. Oh, Miyu spotting out the Echo. No chrono break there, no problem. And Miyu picking up the kill. This turns this into a 4v3 with Michigan. The team with 3 still pushing on. They want to get this inhib turret.
So much confidence on the side of Michigan. Andes doesn't have a whole lot of HP to work with. These Baron and Power minions are continuing to push down towards this turret. However, Rem is still a threat, still someone you have to appreciate, but the minions just keep on coming. As we do see Miyu trying to continue to keep up the pressure, and they're able to make it happen. That's the inhib going, and Michigan getting what they came for.
Yeah, and it was a little bit forced. As you said, it looks a little bit out of sorts, but Julius doing a great job sacrificing himself over and over again for the team. He's had 5 deaths, but I'm sure every single time he's died, the team has gotten something for it. And not only will it be the bot lane inhib, it looks like it's going to be 2. Rutgers are running out of structures.
Rutgers running out of structures. Yes, they are. They're running out of life as well. As Andes is going to be the first one up here. We will pop into that passive, try and do a little bit of additional damage, but he got chunked down instantly. Michigan's still looking in a great spot. They also have minions looking up towards the top. They can continue to pressure this, continue to push on through. Degon, this is a terrible position if you're Rutgers. You were looking so good in this game, but one fight turned it all around, getting a little bit overconfident, going on through, trying to pressure off the back of a Drake, but still, they go in. This might be the fight they're looking for, though. ShamWow, instant deletion!
Yeah, ShamWow gets taken down immediately after respawning and then rejoining the fight, goes down yet again. Now it's a 5v4. Here comes Rem. Rem wants to bounce around, and Echo getting a second kill, but the untouched Sivir still dishing out damage right now.
Absolutely massive. This Sivir sitting in the back, just continuing to dish out that damage. The next inhib likely to go down here in just a second. Best Kennen NA, proving that he's doing pretty darn well in the second. Well, most of the time.
Holy moly!
Jinxed him just a little bit right there, as that's the third inhib dropping. Degon, this is a terrible spot if you're a Rutgers fan.
Yeah, and it was just a great setup here by Michigan. They had the lane in the top lane shoving, they had the minions in the mid lane shoving, and then they just forced that bottom side engage. And with the Baron empowered minions and knowing that they can stay safe from engages, this long push over the last 2.5, 3 minutes turns out huge for Michigan.
Absolutely massive right now. They've got full control of this. Not many structures left. Just these 2 Nexus turrets if you're Rutgers. This is a back against the wall situation. They need to, desperate play time. They need to try and find the party bush of their lives. They need to set something up right now, push out their lanes as much as they can, and then try and take a fight, try and take it from Michigan. We know they have the potential damage to get it done.
Yeah, and whatever they do, they have to do it quick, just because with no inhibs left, the double super minions will walk right on into the base. And one of the biggest changes from the preseason, how much damage minions do.
So I want you to look up at the top of your screen and tell me what Drakes Michigan has right now.
They have 3 Infernal Drakes.
They have 3 Infernal Drakes. What did they just pick up now, Degon?
They got another Infernal Drake.
No, what did they just pick up?
Oh, the Elder Drake.
Yeah, that one. Does that? I think that might be slightly scary if you're.
It's 24% extra damage.
That's
massive.
That's a lot of extra damage.
This is not going to be a long fight. Rutgers,
not long for this world.
Rutgers is not going to have a good time with his Rem. He's going to try to run himself out of this when he goes in immediately, and nice engage. Now it's split up. ShamWow taking damage, but Rem
just light stealing through it.
Tipti very low, still auto attacking, still alive, does go down, but he's bought more than enough time. ShamWow coming on in, Fear Beyond Death, clearing this one out. Andes goes down as well. Only member alive, and it's his alternate form. It's over before the fight even starts. An Elder empowered Dragon leads Michigan to the second round of the Big Ten Network Championship.
Beautiful play there for Michigan. They started that game off a little bit sloppy. Looked like Rutgers was going to pull it off, but a couple fights and just not able to capitalize on this lead that Rem was building for them. The Aurelia player in the mid doing all the work for the squad, but eventually they looked for the bottom lane to come online.
Yeah.
Kaiser just never quite did. The Sivir, on the other hand, from Tipti, tipping the scales in the favor of Michigan.
Well played.
Thank you. Really nicely done there towards the end of that. Give him 24% extra damage. That's a lot of extra life steal, and that's surviving much longer than anybody ever should.
And what I love about today is that you're getting to see the difference between good teams and great teams, especially in the macro department. Michigan set that one up beautifully. They had the waves pushing in the correct order. It's like, hey, look, we know they have to answer us here on the bottom side of the map, but we have extra minions on the top side, and it'll slowly start pushing. So if things go well, Julius dies, but we still get the turret. We can rotate around the map and then just rotate our lead around there. They did a great job with that.
I'm not sure what sort of like dark pact that Michigan did before this set, but they just had to sacrifice Julius and they won every fight. That was really the key. Julius has to die, but the whole team will win. I don't know what they negotiated going into this, but that seems to be how it all went down. But speaking of breaking it down, we got Zyrene here giving us some additional insight. I hear you have the big IQ brains for this stuff, so please share your secrets.
Heard absolutely correct. Everything you've heard about me is absolutely true. But I want to go over the play that happened when the game was even. This is that Infernal Dragon play, and right before it gets going, I want to point out the Echo right before. He actually goes in, tries to make a play by himself, and this costs him his ultimate and his flash to get away from the Alistar. And when your ultimate and flash are down on an Echo jungle, this means that is the cue for the enemy team to go for the Drake. Because if you try to steal this Drake, you're probably going to die. There's a high probability. And if you go in, steal the Drake, and die anyway, they can go to Baron, and they don't have to worry about a 50-50. So it's great from Michigan to start this up. But then what happens is this commitment here from the Scion that goes up and tries to make a play happen. Look at the position on everybody else here. In order to get there, Rem and Cokes has to get to there. Sweaty Toast is going to go all the way around. It's going to take him forever to get into this fight. And Best Ken and NA, his route is to go in. So it does look like they can pinch them in from multiple angles. But the big issue here is just the amount of time it would take. And I don't know why nobody is taking this blast cone here. Sweaty Toast could get in pretty easily by taking that blast cone and getting himself into the thick of the fight. Still has flash, could get right in there, but as we continue to roll the fight out, you're going to see how long it takes him to get to this fight. So let's start moving this forward.
There we
see. He's going to go all the way around. Best Ken is going to come through. Sure, here comes the stone plate. There's damage onto ShamWow, but everybody is turning away from him, and right there, because you don't have anything on the Echo, he can't dodge the Fear Beyond Death. ShamWow pulls him into Cokes, the primary carry, fears Rem as well. It's just such a good kind of abuse situation where they made the Echo lose all of his escape tools, and because he's the jungler and in these late game situations, the jungler smite is the scariest thing and the biggest threat to any team trying to secure objectives, because this gets them the Baron right afterwards. So they got to have their cake and eat it too off of that initial play that Echo tried to make himself.
Well, you heard it there. Cake makes everything better.
Oh, yeah, it does.
That's basically the gist of what I got from that. No, absolutely. Thank you so much, Cyrene. Breaking it on down, all the fancy arrows. I wouldn't want it any other way, Degon.
Yeah, again, Rutgers, great fight here, and they got themselves to winning position, right? And it wasn't like any of these games today where it was like, ooh, that feels bad. Rutgers in position for both games. They had the lead there, holding down ShamWow on the top side of the map on the Vladimir. This time just holding even in the mid lane, and it came down to just an aggressive call there. The third Infernal Drake, right? And
that was
you
huge.
saw how that baited that one out. They forced that fight. Didn't work out for them. Tough season, but they'll have another opportunity next year.
But it worked out for Michigan. And speaking of Michigan, we have Julius on the line. Congratulations, dear sir. You guys are walking away with the 2-0 victory.
Yeah, thank you. We kind of came in. We know what we're capable of, so I'm glad we were able to at least get 2-0. I think we played pretty poorly today. I know at least I did. So we need to clean things up as we go deeper into the tournament.
Yeah, and one of the things in that last game, you sacrificed yourself a lot. You did a lot of good trading, good calculating. How do you keep your cool on games like that? Because I know you're the leader of the team. You lead the team. You're the voice of the team. What's that like when you're sitting at like 0-5? But you know that your guys got you.
The biggest thing is kind of like making fun of myself and keeping the mood light. Because like if I'm playing bad and I don't tilt myself, then that's the biggest thing. Because my teammates are really good and they know like if I'm playing bad, I'm still a decent player and they trust in me. So it doesn't affect our shot calls or our mentality.
It's awesome to hear. I mean, now that you've won first round here in the quarters, moving on to the next round, what is your thought process for this? Do you just continue doing what you've done all season long, or have you done any sort of special prep here for the playoffs?
So going into the playoffs, we just had a lot of kind of team issues. that we were working on for the past like 3 weeks or so to be more consistent in our games. Throughout the season, we were really dominant in wins, and our losses were pretty abysmal. So we've just been working on a lot of mental issues to kind of help us stay in games. And other than that, just getting back, cleaning up some of our macro and mid to late game. Because we already have the mechanical talent, so that's not the problem. It's just kind of macro and mental things that are the only things that are holding us back.
Yeah, you guys have a possible Eastern bracket semifinals date with Maryland if they take care of business against Indiana, and this is one of those teams. It's everyone's kind of like haunting team. What is your mindset going into that possible matchup?
Just we can win. I don't think we're afraid of them I don't think we're afraid of any other players. It's just another team in Big Ten. It's not about like who they were or how well they've done before.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I mean, just got to get it done. Congratulations, man. Once again, good luck on your next match. Congrats.
Thank you.
Well, you heard it there. You know, even when things not necessarily going the best, keep it lighthearted.
Yeah.
Keep the humor
Make
flowing.
fun of myself.
Yeah.
I mean, 5 again. Typical day at the office.
A little bit more savage than I would have gone, D-Gon,
No,
but there it is.
Savage? I don't think it was that savage. Maybe it was a little typical.
A little bit.
All right.
A little bit much. Either way, Michigan came out with a victory. Let's take a look at the bracket after today has rounded itself on out. Looking towards some more amazing matchups here. Illinois taking on Wisconsin, and Purdue facing the winner of Minnesota and Iowa.
Man, that was a close one. You know, Nebraska,
Yeah.
I think if they would have won it, I don't think anyone would have complained here. I think they put up a great fight, did the Cornhuskers, especially after the season that they had. So good on them. But Purdue moves on, representing that number 2 spot. Minnesota and Iowa, they're playing later tonight offline, so we'll get to see what match that will be tomorrow.
Absolutely. Let's head over to the other side into the East, where we have Michigan State going to be going up against the winner of Penn State and Ohio State. As well as Michigan facing off against the winner of Maryland and Indiana. More amazing games as we progress. Guys, we are back tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that. So many amazing games coming your way here for the BTN Championship Tournament. Thank you all so much for joining us here for day number 1 from everyone here at the studio. Myself and Varum, D-Gon, Zyrene, the whole crew. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you all tomorrow. More amazing games.